How's it going, everyone? Hope everyone's having a good night. This is still day one of the streaming giveaway. This is for an X5570, a Xeon LGA 1366 CPU. All you gotta do is be a subscriber and put a message in the chat, and you could win an X5570. Let's just do full screen. There we go. Maybe not. It'll work like that. Why not? If you're new to the stream, welcome. I'm gonna check out my hardware monitor, see what everything is saying. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. Hopefully everyone can hear everything just fine. I do have issues with the sound sometimes. Sometimes. Awesome. Awesome. Glad everything sounds just fine. Well, if you want, you can put in the chat your Ontario pictures, the storm watch if you want. It's people will join. They'll probably like some more pictures of yours since they are very nice. If anyone's new to the live stream or my channel, welcome. Hopefully you're having a good day, good night, have a good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I do want to go grab maybe something to do though. Maybe put back together. No, I need to paint it up still and do some more Bondo work on the DAS that I have. I'm doing work on it just to make it look a little nicer. There we go. Just let anyone know. Just to let everyone know. Just gotta subscribe and send a message. There's not much I can do. Can maybe go grab. Maybe grab. So I do want to do something with one of my PC cases, an old Antec P100 silent case. I do want to do something with that case. It is a nice older case. It says silent, but it's just a really thick metal basically, and the front panel has a little bit of foam in it. That's about it. Nothing crazy with it. If anyone is new to the channel, though, you can just subscribe and send a message in the chat, and you could win a Intel Xeon LGA 1366 X5570. That's all you got to do. There'll be one random winner after my 10th day of streaming. Today is just day one. So far, we got a few people that have sent a message and subscribed, so they are part of the giveaway. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go grab a PC case with a power supply and whatnot in it. So this is the Antec P100 case. It is an older case. It's a P100 silent case. So as you see, Antec. Then what really makes it silent is it's got a little bit of foam right here, and a little bit of cobwebs apparently too. It does have fan filter right there. It's nice. I don't have panels on it right now because it's just in storage and whatnot. So take the panels off, put them in a nice spot so they don't get all too damaged. Although this is not a perfect case by any means. It does have power supply and whatnot in it. Whoop, didn't mean to hit the mic there. Oh. Yeah. So it's got an EVGA 50 watt gold rated. It's an 80 gold. Do need to clean this case out. This case, the power button when I got it did not work, so I fixed up the power button. Other than that, this case is great. It really is a nice big case. As you can see, it is absolutely massive. But without the panels, quite light, which is nice. It doesn't have any of the hard drive trays in it. I did take out the hard drive trays so that way I can put the new bigger graphics cards, bigger motherboards and that in it. But yeah, who knows, I might make myself a new kind of hard drive chassis up top so I can put in some hard drives. I do have a bunch of trays and sleds, so I could do that. But that's why I got my DAS. I built my DAS because I wanted to have that take apart, make it lighter, so that way I can have all the hard drives, all my recordings, videos, and all that on that. And who knows, maybe I'll make this PC all nice and clean again, build something up, sell it, who knows, we'll see what the future brings. I do like this case because you can't really get these cases anymore, and if you do, they're quite expensive, really. Maybe I'll throw a motherboard in it today just to do something while live streaming. If you're new to the live stream, new to the channel, right now there is a giveaway. You just gotta subscribe and message in the chat, and you could win an Intel Xeon CPU. It's an X5570. It's fairly close to, let's say, like a i7 2600, which isn't a 4-core 8-thread. If you overclock it, it's like an i7 3770K. So if you know how to overclock a bit, or if you just follow my channel, I can show you how to overclock the X5570 no problem, up to at least 4.2 gigahertz, no problem, which is it's a pretty good CPU for overclocking. So if you just want to do some light gaming or even just upgrade your system, an X5570 is pretty good. It's right around another LGA 1366 is the i7 920 or i7 930. They're pretty much on par with each other. So maybe I'll grab a motherboard too. I can't carry a whole lot at the time. I threw my back out yesterday, so, and it's still pretty sore. So I could do that, or I could clean this up right now. Who knows? We'll see. Phone is going nuts again. There we go. I'm gonna see if I can find on the hardware bot if I have any pictures of the P100 with a build in it. I'm not sure which one I had it built in, but Super Pi, good old Super Pi. What is it? Which one did I do? Let's do 7-zip, see what I got. So I built a bunch of different systems in the P100 case. If you've been following me for a while, you've probably seen that video, live streams as well. It is a nice big case. Very nice. You can put whatever basically you want in it for graphics card size. Motherboards, you can go up to an EATX, no problem. Hey, how's it going? Oh, not too much. I haven't been up to much. I threw my back out yesterday fixing up a door. Oh, yeah, it wasn't. The door was heavier than I thought, and I thought I could just lift it up and then add the screw in, but that was a bad choice. I did get the door all fixed up though, luckily, so that's the main thing. But haven't been up to a whole lot. I'm pretty sure I have a picture somewhere. I guess maybe not. I was hoping I can find a picture of it. I mean, I have a lot, so. I mean, I have a lot of pictures, but I've also done a lot of. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we're getting somewhere, actually. We're getting somewhere. Let's see. Sort by date. Yep. Sort by date. I've done a lot of overclocking, so finding pictures. Maybe it's in downloads. Nope. No downloads. Oh, if you want to be a part of the giveaway, just be a subscriber and send a message in the chat. I will be going through my subscribers to make sure it's all verified that you're a subscriber. And then I'll be going through all the chats after the 10th day of streaming. Today's day 1. I have done another stream earlier, so anyone that participated in that is already in for the Xeon. The only thing is, if you are outside of Canada, there will be a $15 shipping charge, just because that will help cover the shipping. The shipping will be quite expensive, like quite expensive outside of Canada. Even inside of Canada, right now, the Northwest Territories and the Yukon, very expensive for shipping. It's actually insane. I just can't seem to find There, I got, there's a, nope, that's not the P100. Trying to find the P100 is very difficult. No, it was a different door. It wasn't for this. It was for another shed. It was for another shed. Then might be putting in some insulation for somebody as well. Just looking for someone to put in insulation. I've done a lot of construction. I've put a lot of insulation in, installed insulation. There's it's rock wool. If you know anything about insulation, there's multiple different kinds. It's rock wool, so you kind of have to know what you're doing. Make sure you cut it properly. The best way to cut it too is with like a bread knife. It just makes a nice clean cut. And if you use like razor blades on it, it'll dull the razor blade after the first or second bat. So best just to use a serrated blade basically. Yeah, I really can't find the P100. I should be able to see one because I did a video about it. I did a video about it and I just cannot seem to find it. I know it's an older one, but come on. I know, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to make this stream boring. I am trying to do a little something on this stream. It's not like my streams before when I was doing a lot more. There's also no competition right now. In 10 days, there's going to be a hardware bot competition, which is the Country Cup 2024. And the Country Cup 2024 is one of my favorite competitions to be a part of, so I will definitely be trying to do that. It'll start November 1st and end December 20th. And I have a lot of CPUs, GPUs, motherboards that I can use for it, so I'm hoping I can get Canada some good scores. I really can't find the screenshot. I found my other case that's the case right here, but that one's actually small. Actually, I could show how big the P100 case is compared to this. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to move the mic around. Alright, walk over there. Alright, so there's the that's the EVGA DG76, I think it is. It's not the 77. The 77 has a tempered glass panel. This one right here just has a small windowed acrylic panel, which I would like to change out with a tempered glass. I just got to find a glass company around that will basically do a deal for me, because I like to find glass companies that do deals, because I've done work for people and installed some really nice glass, but I've also make deals with the company themselves, like the manager or the actual owner. But this is an old EVGA case that I like to use for my newer stuff. So right here, D7. That is a D5 pump there. It's a Thermaltake D5 pump reservoir combo. I use certain silicone type tubes for flexibility, more or less. I can't really show. There we go. You could just really, like, you really put a nice bend on them without them kinking, and they're good for warmer temperature or lower temperature climates, which is really nice as well. If you do go onto videos, it's Bog episode 1. I show about all the fittings that I use, certain kind of fittings that I like, because it actually has an insert, so that way you can use an Allen key to tighten everything up nicely, just in case you're not so strong with your fingers, or just want to make sure it's a tight fit. That's what I like to use, certain kind of fittings. Yeah, I really do like doing the competitions. Eventually, I would like to get into dry ice or liquid nitrogen, but it's not really, it's not the liquid nitrogen or the dry ice that's expensive. It's having, well, dry ice isn't too bad. It's having the containers and either the GPU block or the CPU block. Those cost quite a bit of money. Also, RAM, everything you have to buy, it's really expensive. I I like to spend more or less my money on more hardware to overclock on water or air. That's what I like to do right now. It's more or less give me more knowledge on everything before I get into it. But the liquid nitrogen and dry ice itself, so liquid nitrogen, you have to have dewars and containers to be able to hold the liquid nitrogen. Dry ice, you just need a certain kind of bag, basically. It's not too bad. But liquid nitrogen and dry ice is fairly cheap. It is actually fairly cheap to actually get from a supplier. You just need to find a um, welding supply company, and they generally have liquid nitrogen, liquid helium, and dry ice because welding companies need to have that as well. Yeah, the last competition was great. I placed 27th overall. It was the team cup, and I'm the only one in the team cup. I know I'm not showing my face on the screen right now. My apologies. I'm trying to still set up for showing how big this P100 Silent Antec case is. So this is a medium large style tower, um, desktop tower. It's fairly large. Like this is a fairly large. Holds a 360 mil radiator. Holds another 360 up top and a fan at the back. Holds an EATX motherboard, no problem. Full size graphics card, doesn't matter what you have. Full size graphics card with the radiator or with the radiator and fans on the inside holds it no problem. Like it's absolutely insane how nice this case is. The DG77 is nicer. You can get more expensive cases, but this case only cost me $45 about 7 years ago, so 7 or 8 years ago now, so it's pretty good. But here comes the P100 silent case, Antec case, right beside it. Oh, if I can lift it up that high, my back is really sore. So as you can see, that P silent Antec P100 silent case absolutely towers this thing. It's way wider, way taller, way longer. And I'll go back to the chat here. Yeah, it's not really gonna hurt the CPU right now. They have so much um, pure pure sand, pure quartz right now. Like they have it so much in stock right now that it's not gonna hurt that like CPU values right now. That's the only thing. It doesn't matter about the strike. It might hurt the like the servers and all that because you always have to update your servers and that, especially like these bigger companies with their um like their servers, like for your games and stuff like that. But for us consumers, it won't really hurt the value of anything, really. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, I've heard about the hurricane. Hopefully, everyone's doing okay. I know it's not the worst hurricane, but it's a hurricane. It's Definitely not good. No, I definitely hear you there. Definitely hear you. Yeah, the silicon, it's made of different kinds of sands. It's just gotta be a purity sand, and they're literally stocked up. The only time we had a shortage was due to COVID, and since COVID's over and everyone's basically back to the normal life, sort of. Inflation, yeah, it's hit, but it's we have so much in stock right now. It's not gonna hurt anybody. Oh wow. Is that due to what is that due to? That wouldn't have been due to the hurricane, would it? Oh, by the way, if anyone's new to the stream, you just gotta subscribe and comment in the comment section, and you could win an Intel Xeon CPU. Disaster is probably not good, but if it's just one little mountain, it's not that bad. Yeah, the hurricane. Yeah, the hurricane's doing. Hurricanes always do devastation anywhere that a hurricane actually happens. Luckily, here in Canada, we only get usually the tail end of it, and I believe it was only, was it 2 years ago? Almost 3 years ago? Yeah, almost 3 years ago. We got the tail end of the last one, and it it sounded nasty. Like the wind just ripped by. It just like trampolines went flying. If people had lawn chairs and tables out, they went flying. But that's about it. It wasn't like tear down houses, floods and stuff like that. It wasn't like out there. Yeah, epic proportion floods. Yeah, I can believe it. When you just get that much rain and whatnot, the ground just can't soak it up. So, and if there's too much roads or concrete, it's not gonna soak up, right? Should grab a motherboard now though. Someone's selling an i5 4670K or 4690K for like $15. So I actually might pick that up later on this week. So I do have a Asus Z97 motherboard that I can put into it. Also has a M.2 slot, so I do have an extra M.2 that I could throw into it and maybe do some overclocking on that one. By the way, if you do subscribe and message in the chat, but you do not want the Xeon, and I do randomly pull your name and you want to pass it on, you can do that. You'll just have to let me know, and I will do another live stream on the draw of the hat, just without your name this time. It's not an issue at all. The pass it forward type thing is a nice thing to do, especially if you don't need it or want it. But yeah, we'll get back to this P100 case. Maybe I'll go grab the side panels for it because the side panels weigh almost as much as the case itself. The P100 silent case by Antec. It's an older case, and they made the panels really thick onto it and gave the front panel foam. That's what makes it silent. It's just thicker paneling basically to help with the sound dampening. I do want to kind of add maybe my own foam to the back paneling and the front paneling, like very thin foam. It would just have to be black as well. That way it matches the front paneling as well. Yeah, yeah. There's only a few spots in the world that actually do it because it's gotta be a purity, right? It's gotta be really pure, and the factories want as close to pure quartz or silicon sand, which is just like a purity sand basically, and they want to have that. Um, Could be like a VMA, variable mineral aggregate, aggregate, something like that. It's just a very pure sand that they can make better CPUs out of, but we can only get so good. We just have to keep raising the power, like I said in other streams. We have to raise the power to get more performance, just due to we're at the limit of what silicon can actually do, or like what we can actually do right now. We'll have to change to a different type of material in order to actually advance into CPUs and GPUs. Without raising the power and more cores, because more cores you get, each core has 1 volt to that core, or 1.1 volts to each core, and then you got 24 core or 144 core CPUs. That's 144 cores times 1.1. That's a lot of voltage that you got to put into that for stock. And then when you want to do these overclocking, it's just continuously raising the power. And if you have the CPU that doesn't scale very well, there's no point of overclocking it, and they'll just make that into like a server CPU, like the Xeons and stuff like that. The new Xeons, yes, you can overclock them, but the amount of power that one CPU is going to have is absolutely insane. We're talking thousands of watts for a CPU instead of like the 13900K or 14900K. It goes up to about 400 watts. Full load, I'm talking full load, right? Hey, how's it going, Cassie? If you want to subscribe, you've already messaged. You just need to subscribe, and you can be part of the Intel Xeon CPU giveaway. I'm just gonna go grab a motherboard, and yeah, I'll grab a motherboard, maybe a GPU, and we'll put it into the Antec case. I also have to grab the paneling, so I'll be right back in about 1 minute. Yeah, that's so I use a 12600K. It uses 1.1 volts, roughly 1.1 to 1.35 volts at stock. On the P cores, on the E cores, of course, it uses a little bit less voltage, but it's on every single core. It's not like it's throughout the whole CPU. It's on every single core. That's why when I say I do voltages on every single core, it's because I literally do the 1.1 or the 0.985 or 0.85 volts on each core, depending on what core wants what voltage at what frequency. And then if the CPU does not scale very well, what's the point of overclocking it? You're just putting more power into it without getting the actual performance. That's what scaling is for CPU overclocking. So when you're doing overclocking on hardwarebot.org, you want to have a CPU that can scale well. So if you watch any other overclockers like Lumi's a very good one to watch. He's very, very smart, been doing this for a very long time. Um, he helps out Kingpin. If you ever watched any of the Kingpin as well, he worked for EVGA building the Kingpin version GPUs, or all the specialty EVGA GPUs. He was part of it. So was Tin. Tin was also part of it. And they're very, very smart people. They've done so much testing on so many GPUs, so many CPUs, motherboards, and that they designed their own, made it better than everyone else's. And that's why they worked for EVGA. But then EVGA just did not want to keep that up because COVID happened, and certain GPUs were selling and some CPUs were selling, so some motherboards weren't selling, and then they just couldn't keep paying all these workers, so they had to let go of a certain portion of EVGA, which was the graphics card, because the graphics card just kept getting more and more power hungry. More power equals more chances of things just going wrong, basically. So the warranty, they can only do so much warranty, and then there's issues with certain graphics cards issues. It was more or less the motherboard manufacturers, RAM manufacturers, CPUs, and that as well that was causing issues. The GPUs got heavy, so if you didn't have a certain support on certain GPUs, it would crack the actual PCIe slot on it, and yeah, it's just the way things go. If you want to keep advancing on things nowadays with certain limits that we have, and that's silicon dies and certain things like that, like GPU dies and CPU dies and everything like that, then we just need to keep raising power. You keep raising power, you gotta put a beefier cooler, go to water cooling. A lot of people can't afford water cooling, and the D5 pumps are like $400 just for the pump. Then you gotta buy the fittings, you gotta buy the tubing, then you gotta buy the radiator. What size radiator depends on how much wattage there is. Like, there's so much involved with getting the best of the best, and everyone at the time wanted the best of the best. Well, that's and if they didn't know what they're doing, they're breaking it, put it in for warranty, and then EVJ had to pick up the price. So EVJ let go of that one section. It really sucks. It really sucks. Yeah, so I'm going to stop just blabbing on about stuff. Hopefully you guys are learning a little bit, though, because I will blab on stuff that maybe you don't know about. If you do have any questions, just let me know. I know quite a bit about GPUs, CPUs, RAM, motherboards. I know a bit about PC cases, but I mean, as you can see here, my main case, it's never together. I always take it apart. I clean everything. The D5 pump and the lines need to be these lines need to be redone. They're old, but since I buy this certain silicone type tubing, this will last a very long time and have like a 99.9% chance of never leaking, basically. I'm not going to say 100% because there's always a chance, but since I've done it this way, I've never had an issue. I can literally pick up this whole thing, buy the D5 pump, and none of this will let go and it won't leak. So I'll be right back though. I'm gonna go grab um, the case panels. So the P100 silent case panels, I'm gonna grab them. Might grab one at a time. They're pretty heavy, so my back is really sore. So I'll be right back. Oh, and if you're new to the stream, my channel, just subscribe, message in the chat like everyone else has, and you got a chance to win a Intel Xeon CPU. All right, I'm back. What up, Frosty? Mini PCs. Yeah, if it's your side buffering, might not be buffering. I did drop some frames there, so it might not been a view. Like I actually dropped some frames, so if there's a little bit of skipping, my bad. Out in the country, so. But for a 3050 is great, especially if you need the encoder on it. The encoders are great. The 30 series encoders are good. The 40 series are even better, of course. For AMD, the encoders are always a generation behind. So if you get like a 6900 XT or 6700 XT, the encoder's more like the 20 series for NVIDIA. That's the only thing with the encoders. For power, it depends on what you're doing, really. You're gaming on it, then yeah. If it's corrupt, if your Windows is corrupting, by the way, um, I would reinstall it and get rid of any of the bloatware, more or less. Don't do any RAM overclocking. That could corrupt it. Or if it just keeps corrupting, even if you do install new Windows onto it, it could actually be your like SSD or NVMe drive or hard drive, whatever's in it. But if it's one of those mini ones, it's generally an NVMe or SSD. So you might need to replace that NVMe or SSD and then get a new one, reinstall Windows, and that should fix your issue. Yeah, like it doesn't matter if it's a 3050, 3050 Ti, they're great. They may be a lower powered GPU, but they're still a great GPU nonetheless. What CPU is in your system? That would also help me let me know what you need. Like I said, you're doing gaming, editing. There's so many things that you can do with the PC nowadays. So I looking to make sure you don't have to upgrade 5 years down the road. Then yeah, 3050 would be good for if you're doing video editing, picture editing, streaming, recording, that kind of thing. You don't need a whole powerful CPU if you're streaming, by the way. Like you can run an old Intel Xeon with a 3050 or something like that and still get a good stream. Like it's not, you don't need a good CPU, you just need a 4-core 8-thread CPU that goes above 3 gigahertz basically. What you really need is the encoder off of the GPU. You can use a CPU encoder, but you'd need a newer CPU for a better encoder, of course. So that's the only thing. Okay, yeah, so you might have an actual failure in the SSD or NVMe there, Frosty. Yeah, if things are stopping it, yeah, my bad. I just dropped more frames again. I can only do so much. Maybe in the next stream I'll lower the kilobytes, but I'm already pretty low on it. It's just once in a while you'll hear my voice just fine, but the video itself will like go eh, 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 and then it'll pick back up. That's just because it's the type of internet. It's Starlink out in the country. Starlink from Elon Musk. Not the greatest, but to be honest, it's not half bad. So the motherboard I got, I'm just storing it in my Z690 Ors Master motherboard box. But this is a Asus Z97. So it does the 4th gen Intels, like an i5 47 or 4670K, an i7 4770K, 4790K, all of them type of CPUs go in here. It does have an M.2 right here, M.2, that's when they first came out, 4th gen. It does have Wi-Fi too, built-in Wi-Fi. That's why these boards are nice as well. So that's why I picked this one up. I just don't have a CPU for it yet. So Minecraft can be a pretty hefty hefty game if you're using like the mods and all that, but you don't need a super powerful CPU or super powerful GPU if you're not doing that. 3050 would be just fine for you if you want to get, what's your monitor? What's your monitor refresh rate? Is it 60 hertz or 120 or 144 or 165 or 244 or even the 540? If you have a 540, then you're going to need a top of the line system to get even close to those frames in any game. Like, yeah. How's it going, Art? Yeah, to be part of the giveaway, you just need to be a subscriber. You just need a message in the chat like everyone else has, and you can get a Intel Xeon X5570. It's an LGA 1366 CPU, maybe an older CPU, but they're great for overclocking, especially if you want to get into it. Easily hit 4.2 gigahertz on air if you wanted, easily. And if you just watch my videos or my streams and let me know that you were the winner and you got it all set up, I can show you the voltages that you can use for if you're doing air or water, and we can overclock it live. This is day 1 of the live streams. It could be a 10-day stream, so after the 10th day, I'll be going through all of the subscribers to make sure they're a subscriber, and then I'll be checking the chat and writing down names, putting in like a hat or something, drawing whoever name. If you don't want the CPU and I draw your name, you just gotta let me know and I'll pass it forward, as in I'll take your name out of the hat and I'll redraw for somebody else that actually may want the CPU. You don't have to have the CPU, but it's up to you. It's all you. Like shaders, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, some people don't care, but like out here in the country or something like that, the Starlink is great. Instead of spending, I think it's like $3,000 or $4,000 to get a line installed, you can get a Starlink installed for a lot cheaper. Yeah, you still have to pay quite a bit for the internet, but it's not half bad, to be honest, in my opinion. My buddy has it, so, and that's what he uses, and to be honest, it's not half bad for out in the country. So the shaders and 144 hertz monitor. Are you looking to hit the 144 hertz? Because you will need a decent CPU. Do you know the CPU that you have currently? Because the 3050 would be pretty good for probably getting close to 144 hertz depending on the CPU. Because you could bottleneck the CPU depending on which it is with a 3050. So I know right now the 3050s are actually not a half bad price. Right around 200. Yeah, if I'm pretty sure it's your SSD or NVMe could be failing. You could run an actual hard drive tester, which does NVMe's, SSDs, and hard drives, and see if it has any issues. Or I did do another stream for someone to show about how you can check just quickly to see if it gives an error. So if you leave your PC on and use this error, like go through device manager and click on the actual disk or drive or whatever it is that you have, just click on that, see if it has any error codes. If it is putting an error code, search that error code up, as not all error codes I know of. You can just search up the error code if it's giving you something about the actual drive itself, which could be an SSD or NVMe, hard drive, don't matter, disk. Then yeah, you could have to replace it and then reinstall Windows, and that should fix your issue. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. This is a giveaway. After the 10th day, you just need to be a subscriber and send a message in the live chat. It can just be a hi, or you can ask me a PC question. But yeah, so it's pretty dusty. It's been in storage. I don't know if we can see that. Pretty dusty. This is the Z97. So, are you ready? Wow. Pretty dusty. Probably draw some smiley faces in it. There we go. Yeah, smiley face. But yeah, it's pretty dusty. It's been in storage just for an ice for the 4th gen Intel, which soon, hopefully. Yeah, any PC question there, Heart? Any PC question? Yeah, I can link you one if you wanted. I don't have the Discord up anymore, or else I would. Uh, we could just chat in the Discord while I'm live streaming, but I can link you one. Do you know if it is an SSD or NVMe though? Like, have you taken the case lid off and checked, or yeah, any PC question? Yeah. Just give me one sec. I'll show you how to do the checker here. I'll just go into bobblehead mode me. So I just gotta do a filter on here. Do a little filter. Mask blend. Browse. And downloads. And it should be not too far down, hopefully. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Recent. Where's my recent? There it is. There we go. But that's not right. That's not right. What happened? That's not the one. That's not the one. Give me one second here. I don't know why. What is going on here? It should have been that way. Oh, there we go. Open. There we go. Now we got bobblehead me. Bobblehead me. There we go. Just go. Let me make myself smaller. And then we can do display capture. So I did show this in another live stream. All we have to go is device manager. How's it going there, Joe? If you want to be part of the Xeon giveaway, just gotta subscribe and message just like everybody else. Device manager. So if you're following along, you just go device manager. Click on it. Then you got your disk drives. So make sure everyone can see. So right here, disk drives. Mine's a Samsung SSD 980 Pro 2 terabyte. All you gotta do is let me know what one that is. But what we can do here is we can go properties. We can go details or events. Events is the main one. Events, view all events. Give it a second. Yeah, it looks wicked. No, that's not what it was supposed to be. I'm not sure. I literally just used the same one and it actually did the bobblehead. So I don't know. But yeah, we can do this and then so number of events 0, and then generally it will give you what level of an error it is, the date, time, and all that for it. If you do have an error while your PC is on, it will show up here. But if you would like me to tell you which SSD or NVMe to get, just let me know your budget, and I can tell you what I prefer to use. To be honest, if you ever heard of Sabrent Rocket, which are NVMe's basically, if yours is an NVMe, they're cheaper than the 980 Pros or anything like that, but they have the same type of quality and they last a long time. So my 980 Pro 2 terabyte here, very, very expensive NVMe. 2 terabyte ones are very expensive, especially nowadays still. It has about 14,000 hours of work time on it, and it's still at 97%, like 97%. So it's almost still 100% functionality and 0 events and 0 issues. Yeah, if you got a rocket, then yeah, they came into the market and they just absolutely crushed people's like other companies that have been doing it for a long time, and they've been selling them at very nice prices, and they last a very long time, and they have a good warranty. That's why I suggest them. Depends on your budget though, because then you can go, if your budget's even cheaper than Sabin Rocket, then you can go to like a Samsung 980, but not go to the Pro model, or you can go to the 870 Evos, which are SSDs, and they're even cheaper, and they also last a long time. So if you got two errors, the error codes, so you can go general. So go to general and see if it has a device is working properly. If it's still saying working properly, then we'll have to go to the events, view all events, check that error code. Like, just type that into Google on whatever drive you have and see what the error code is. Again, you can also, like, it'll let you know the severity, like the actual severity of it. Yeah, well, depends, right? If you get like a 980 Pro and you can't keep it cool, because they can get very hot, then you can blow them up very quickly, or make them degrade very quickly. Especially if you're using them a lot. If you do like a lot of data transfer, then they warm up quite a bit. That's why mine doesn't even have a heat sink or anything on it. The heat sinks on them usually don't work that well, or you need a fan directly on it. I find the temperature is goes up to about 55 degrees Celsius on it without the heat sink, and it goes, if you have a case on the GPU going and everything, and you have the heat sink, it will soak in on the heat sink from the GPU, and it's just a nightmare. It just gets too hot. But yeah, check the severity and all that. If you get a new computer, then hopefully you can get a decent one. Just make sure you get a decent CPU that can match the performance of the 3050 if that is what you're doing. I wouldn't go after a mini PC. I would go after a desktop computer, so that way you can have airflow and everything will last longer. All my stuff, except for the GPU and the CPU and the RAM, so the motherboard, and the NVMe, I guess now too, it's all used. The D5 pump was used on Amazon. I got it very cheap. I guess not the actual Corsair kit either, but a lot of stuff I buy used and I fix it up myself. So I'm one of them type of people. Oh yeah, Ripsaw is good. I like Corsair. I'm trying to get partnered up with Corsair, so I just keep sending in requests on whether or not I can get partnered up with them on their system. Each time I keep getting a sorry, not at this time. That's just due to the amount of subscribers and viewers I have right now. Maybe one day I'll get enough subscribers and viewers that they will actually partner with me, but until then, they're just gonna keep sending in a no. But guess what? I'll keep trying. Yeah, nothing wrong with used, man. There's nothing wrong with used. Um, whew. Okay, so here's one of the case panelings. It's a little dirty, and it looks like I got a little scratch in her now. But these are some very thick panelings for it. Oh, I guess we're in still bobblehead me. Whoopsie. We're still bobblehead. Yeah. Close, close, close. Alright, no more bobblehead. Boom. Now we have to get rid of the filter. Delete. Yes. There we go. Now we're back. We're back. Alright. So this is a P100 silent case. It's dusty. It's again storage outside right now. So it's huge. Like an absolutely massive. Just the panel. And it's very, very thick, like very rigid. Like I can't even, like, barely bend it by flexing it. Like, absolutely insane. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hopefully you're having a good day. Just be a subscriber, message in the chat, and you could win an Intel Xeon. It's an X5570, maybe an older CPU, but if you're getting into overclocking or you even have an older CPU, it could upgrade it and for free. Depending if you're actually in Canada. If you're in Canada, it'll be 100% free. If you're anywhere besides Canada, there will be a $15 shipping charge. The shipping itself will cost more than that. It's just to help pay for the shipping. So this is the case panel for the EVGA for my main rig. Has DeWalt on it. DeWalt, by the way, if you want to sponsor me, yeah. I have like almost all your tools, by the way, DeWalt. I am a DeWalt fan. They're awesome. They've lasted me years. So this is an acrylic paneling. I would like to switch this out to a tempered glass. I just need to find a window company that will make a deal basically for the actual glass itself. But as you can see, P100 case is absolutely massive. It's a full tower, full size, probably one of the biggest cases you can actually get. I have Milwaukee too. I have Milwaukee too, but I had a bunch of things stolen from me a while back, so I don't have as much Milwaukee things now. I do have drills. I did have jigsaws too from Milwaukee. The M12 drill, by the way, absolutely so much power in them, and the batteries do last a long time. Great drill, but for actual power, I use 60-volt DeWalt stuff. Again, had a lot of stuff stolen from me over a year ago now, so I don't have as much because it's quite pricey. The batteries are like $300 a piece, and then you got to get the tools. But I am a DeWalt fan, always have been. Yeah, no, PC building, there are some people that do it for very cheap or for free, actually. So if you're trying to get into PC building, I wouldn't do it. More or less because warranty and then hassle of selling it, or the customer might not know anything about it. They might touch it. So you literally have to take pictures of everything you're doing, how it's all set up, and all that. Like it's an actual hassle. For me, I like to just buy and sell stuff. I'm eBay seller, 100% rating. So I have discounts on eBay for shipping and that too. Like if you have 100% rating in that, it's very nice. So, but again, it's not easy to do. It's up to what you want to do. But PC building is not easy to get into, man. It doesn't matter where you live. Your competition is 100 other people just in your area, basically. Yeah, I wish I was in my teens still. I'm over 30. Since '07. That's a long time on eBay, by the way. That is a long time. I've been selling for about 7 years now on eBay. So I just have 100% rating and I'm gonna try to keep it. One time I didn't realize, I thought I took off a bunch of CPUs off of it, and apparently I sold them. I got a message on my email. I was like, eBay sold this like 2 weeks ago, so that's past the time I was supposed to ship it. And I was like, okay. So I messaged the guy. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I had this up. I'll send you two of them. The guy literally said, you don't have to do that, but if you want to, I'm like, no problem. I'll send you two of them. You just have to wait a little bit longer. So he gave me a good review and all that too. And then he literally gave the other CPU to his buddy to put up on the wall, so that way he can have a spare for his HP 600, I think it was, his server. So yeah, yeah, a lot of tools I do. Yeah, like My monitor and the camera right now are on top of a bunch of toolboxes. I have toolboxes there. I have two totes outside full of tools. Yeah, again, I was been in construction all my life, so I've done limestone cutting, roofing. I generally build houses like frame houses. I do renovations. I do small electrical, small plumbing, uh, everything you can think of for housing or commercial. I worked for one of the biggest companies for like pre-made stuff. I worked in the custom shop for years, and yeah, I've learned a lot. I've made my own window sashes, windows, built my own buildings. I built mobile post offices or relocatable post offices, relocatable Tim Hortons for like truck stops, so like bi-level buildings. I've worked on 110,000 pieced together buildings, 110,000 square foot pieced together buildings. So everything has to be pretty precise when you're doing stuff like that. Mine's 2003. All mine says 2006 too. Maybe somebody knows why it else says that good. What do you mean from eBay? Yeah, you just gotta. For me, I sell more or less to Canada on eBay. Canada, we're nice people. What can I say? So I don't generally have issues with selling stuff to people or even buying stuff. Um, Especially when people message me and I'll message them back just to confirm on stuff. Then it just makes things a whole lot easier. I just sold a vintage graphics card, X1900 GTO. It's for a Mac, like the old Macs. You can make it work on Windows, but you got to do a certain thing on it. And he got for a good deal because shipping out into the Yukon right now is absolutely insane. So I almost lost money on it, but hopefully the customer likes it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And same thing with like Facebook Marketplace, if you ever use that. I buy and sell stuff on that too once in a while. It just depends on what you want to do, really. I used to buy graphics cards and modify them for miners. So put on copper shims onto the memory chips so that way they don't hit 110 degrees Celsius on the new GDDR6X memory. They'll hit 110 degrees Celsius, and that's the working temperature. But if you copper shim mod them, they only hit about 65 degrees or 70 degrees on the actual memory chips, which can make them last longer. So I did that. I bought a whole bunch of 3070 Ti's, about four of them. At the time, they're about $1,700 per graphics card, and I sold them for $100 more than what they're worth just because I copper modded them. Does it ruin the warranty? Yeah, but if you're mining on them and you blow them up, guess what? You already destroyed the warranty on them. So, and I've never had an issue with people buying them from me. They always say thank you. They give me good reviews because they're not tech savvy. I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid, but I got into construction when I was a kid as well. So I just been very universal in that way. Yeah, so that could be the actual chip itself could have been so like an SSD, the chip itself could have been made from 2006 and it could have been put into an actual so the actual chip that actually does the data transferring and stuff like that, their SSDs came out back in 2006, so boom, that's why. There could have been chips made and manufactured back then and still implemented today. They're brand new chips, just never been put into something. Or, again, SSDs came out back then. NVMe are newer, so they could have a newer chip for that as well. So that's why you'll get a 2023. Same thing with like RAM. RAM, like you got Samsung, you got Hynix, and you got Micron, right? Basically, those are your top three. You got Nanya as well, and other brands. They're really weird ones. But your top three are Samsung, Hynix, and Micron. Each one uses the same, like can use the different. Okay, so you got the chips on it, which will have little balls on it, just like the GPU balling, reballing, and stuff like that. Well, there'll be so many of those balls onto it, and there's different manufacturing times. So Samsung A die, B die, C die, D die, all that is like first production, second production, third production, fourth production. Micron is kind of the same way, but Micron's also for DDR5 is really crap. But let's say we go with Hynix. Hynix, you got Hynix A die, which is like a first production type production for, and there's only so many balls on it. And then you got Hynix M die, which is a mass production, which is produced. Hynix M die is more or less the chips, the little chips on it, not the actual RAM stick. Was produced back in 2021. No, sorry, 2022 March. Not March. Is it March? I don't know. I'm losing my memory, I guess. But back in 2022, March, they did a mass production of Hynix M die. Mass production, Hynix M die. So Hynix made a mass production. They called it Hynix M die. It has so many balls on it, and you can tune it way better than, let's say, Samsung or Micron or even Hynix A die. Hynix A die, you can put down certain secondary timings way lower than everything else. Same thing with M die. M die, you can lower secondary timings way lower than other things. The primary timings, not so much. Hynix A die is kind of the same, but you need more voltage to make it more stable. Hynix M die, you don't need as much voltage to make it more stable due to the amount of balls and the way the chip was manufactured. There's a lot of things that go into RAM and stuff like that. That's why when I say for DDR5, Hynix M die is the more or less what you want to get, is because you want to get that. You can lower all the primary timings, very like super tight timings onto it, and give you up to a 20% increase in performance without increasing the actual voltage. So Hynix A die, to be able to get the same kind of timings, secondary timings, and keep sort of the same primary timings, you have to raise the voltage up higher just to keep it stable. Hynix M die, you don't need that. You can actually lower the voltage and keep it stable. It all depends on what you're trying to do. More or less, the 48 gigabytes are what you need for DDR5, and yeah, that's. If you go to 64 gigs, you can't do as much with it just because there's so many more chips on it. It gets so hot and it gets unstable. And again, I'm just blabbling again, so my apologies. Just hopefully you guys learn a little something. If I'm going too fast, just ask me again on what I said there. I do need to clean out this case because I do want to get the panel on it. But yeah, SSD NVMe 2006. The chips are made. Depends on when the chip is made is when you'll get the time for something. It's not when that thing, like that actual SSD was made, but when the chips were made. Because when the chips are made at a different time, then you'll get the reading from the chip, right? It's not not the actual NVMe or SSD itself when it was made. The chips were made at a certain time, and that's maybe when that chip was made, and they just had so much in stock, so they made some SSDs or NVMe's out of it. It's just a solid state drive, right? So it's a non-mechanical drive that it's just uses these little chips. And there's billions of them made every year, so they might have a stock of them for years to come, and then next off they'll make another shipment of them. The manufacturer, right, of the chips, they'll make an actual, like Samsung, they'll make so many chips and they'll use that for so many years. Or let's say they weren't so good for longevity and people complained about it, they'll just discontinue those ones, and then some company might buy those later on and make brand new stuff. Change bio. What do you mean change bio? Yeah, I'm just getting back to to the chat. Like I said, I'm just rambling. Just back. Change the bio. What do you mean change the bio? If you're new to the channel live stream, there is a giveaway for Intel Xeon CPU. So if you subscribe and comment in the comment section, you could win an Intel Xeon LGA 1366 X5570, which works just like an i7 920 or i7 930, and you can overclock the absolute snot out of it. Oh, my back is really hurting, so I don't even know if I want to move this case too much. You gotta delete certain portions of Windows operating system. So you gotta get rid of the 64-bit operating system, and you gotta delete certain portions. I could show how to do it, but it's not. I've already said this on another live stream. Is not recommended to be doing these things. You have to know what you're doing basically, because you could corrupt your whole Windows and then have to reinstall Windows basically. So it's not recommended. But yeah, you just got to delete certain portions of Windows. And then for me, you can actually install different the different BIOS, or not BIOS, but the different driver onto the card or Windows itself. It'll register as a different one, but then you can go back into the actual. So when you do it, you can actually install Radeon, not Radeon, ATI, whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called. It's in their older one. It's not. Is it Radeon? Yeah, Radeon something, but it's by ATI, and you can get it to actually install on Windows, and actually you can actually install the correct driver. Just you have to install a different driver to Windows first. Um, Again, not recommended. If you install the wrong one, it can put too much power to the GPU and it could blow it up, especially if you're using it. So you have to follow certain steps to actually make it work. But you can make it work on Windows. Yeah, it's not. I'm not sure if it's GFX. It's an ATI X1900 GTO. Also can be said X1900 GT. You can install the X2900 XT onto it. Not onto it, but onto Windows itself. You gotta delete certain portions of the Windows. Don't run the graphics card. Don't do anything basically on it. And then you can install the actual Radeon, wherever the hell it is. It's the old Radeon, not the new one, not the new AMD, whatever it is. I don't do a whole lot of AMD stuff anymore. I used to do it, but not anymore. But you can actually install it. You can check for updates on the actual driver for the graphics card, and it will actually register the correct driver for that graphics card, and then from there it works. It's actually awesome. It's awesome. The way it works is the way it works. There's always a way around to making things work on newer systems, so that's what I like to do. But yeah, you just gotta make sure there's no 64-bit. It has to be on 32-bit. So deleting Windows portions of the Windows operating system will make things not work. So it's more or less for people that just want to have like the basic, go back to the old days, but stay on like a Windows 10 basically. So again, it's not recommended. It's only for enthusiasts. That's why when I sell to people, I try to sell to people that are collectors or enthusiasts, or want to be able to do these hardware bot competitions, or have a new graphics card to try out. There's nothing wrong with the graphics cards. Like basically brand new, has literally all the stickers, all the validations from checkers and manufacturers. The only thing that was wrong with it is that person must have been a smoker. So the acrylic cover for the fan, basically the fan blower, was permanently discolored. It was permanently like a really dark brown color. It should have been clear. You can clear it up. It would make the acrylic dirty, basically, like cloudy. You can use isopropyl. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want it to go all cloudy. And there's not a 100% chance you can get it perfect. Yeah, you can overclock any 775. You just gotta have the motherboard that does it. So the P5 from a Zeus, I think it is, does 775. I had a 77. I had one. It was a server board, basically. It was in a server. I literally still have the server case that it came in. It was so well used that I was only able to do a few tests with it before the actual motherboard itself blew up. The CPU is just fine. I still have it uh, in storage right now. I still have it, but you can overclock it. The overclocking it though is like doing with like this Xeon, the X5570. It's FSB basically. So you're literally overclocking the motherboard itself, and there's chance you don't care about old RAM that you don't care about, because if you overclock it this way, it overclocks everything on the motherboard. The LGA 775, they're amazing to overclock with, by the way. Like, they're awesome to overclock on, just because like it's 45 nanometer, like they're huge. Like, you can put so much voltage, so much this through it. Yeah, they get hot, so as long as you can keep it cool, it works just fine. But you have to overclock it by overclocking the motherboard, which will overclock everything. The if it has North Bridge and South Bridge, those will be overclocked. The RAM gets overclocked. The GPU will get overclocked as well, and GPUs don't like being overclocked that way. You have to do it a different way. But yeah, you can overclock anything basically. Yeah, yeah, gross. It's actually nasty. Yeah. I've done live streams, I've done videos about motherboard overclocking more or less for my Xeons, and I say the same thing. If you're doing this, it's at your own risk basically, because um you could blow up a capacitor or something like that too, because it's putting too much voltage into it. Well, the capacitors capacitors can only hold so much charge before it gets discharged anyways, but the capacitors could get overworked more or less, more than normal, so that way it wears them out. I do have a Intel DXSO LGA 1366 motherboard that the capacitor blew up, and it wasn't even overclocked. Only because that motherboard's old, the capacitors have been well used and have overclocked on it as well. So it's an overclocking motherboard. So there's a many things that can go wrong while doing motherboard overclocking. Yeah, you should be able to overclock them, no problem. Let's see which one I had. Let's see if I have anything on hardwarebot.org for 775. Like I said, I was only able to do a few tests on them. And it's certain motherboard. You have to have a certain motherboard, right? So certain motherboards, and it's FSB, right? Yeah, you can overclock anything, any 775 using the FSB. So any of them, any of them. Which one did I have? I was overclocking an old Pentium. Pentium, which one though? I have multiple Pentiums, so I'm not sure exactly what Pentium it was. And then like you can also like modify the certain one so it registers as a LGA 771. It's easy mods to do for that, so that way you can overclock it as well. But if as long as you have the correct motherboard that can support FSB overclocking, you can overclock any LGA 775 CPU. And I don't have any CPUs registered, so that kind of sucks. Um, Maybe one day I'll get another LGA. It's a P5 motherboard, I believe it was. And yeah, it was a really good motherboard, but it blew up, and I tried to figure out what the issue was, couldn't, so I had to scrap it. i7 920, yeah, LGA 1366. I have an i7 920 and an i7 930. The i7 920 is just like the Xeon that I am giving away on the last stream here after my 10th day of streaming. For the giveaway, I will be giving away an X5570, and it works just like an i7 920 or i7 930. You can overclock it to 4.2 gigahertz on air, no problem, with not crazy amount of voltage, and the temperature is really fine. It's a 4-core, 8-thread, so yeah. You can always try it, right? Just throw it into, if you have a motherboard that actually supports it, you can always try it, right? All the CPUs that I have work. I have destroyed a 12900K and a 13900KF. A lot of money wasted. I delitted it and I lapped it. I lapped the underside of the IHS and the top side of the IHS on both. But then I got a direct die. The direct die wasn't the correct one for them. So it kind of cracked the die on the CPU, so I lost those CPUs, which really sucked, but it's all part of a process of learning things, and now I know not to direct die those CPUs because they're very easily broken. They're very thin silicon die, and very, like I said, they're very thin themselves, like a very thin layer. And then, like I said, I lapped them as well, so it made them even thinner. So you can't use a whole lot of contact pressure. And a lot of people like to use liquid metal on it. I can't use liquid metal if I'm going to be doing under negative temperatures. It You can only go to about 10 degrees Celsius on liquid metal before liquid metal stops working properly. So, and if it stops working properly and it separates and does a bare spot on that die, it can blow up either a core or the whole CPU anyways. So there's a lot of things you got to worry about when doing the overclocking. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks. It sucks learning things the hard way, but now I learned. I didn't realize with the 12900K that the direct die was the actual issue. I should have just kept the IHS on to it because that would have been just fine for it, and just kept using my actual CPU blocks or CPU water blocks for them. But I used a direct die and literally don't have that direct die anymore. I threw it out because I'll never get a chance at again because 12900K at the time was around 600, and the 13900K at the time was around 800 or 900. Yeah, me either. I did do the liquid metal on the 13900K just to test out. It worked great, but for my hardcore overclocking of getting the lower temperatures of below zero, wintertime here in Canada it gets cold. I use antifreeze like car radiator antifreeze because it has certain lubricants in it, and it won't hurt the actual seals in my loop. I use that, but you can't use liquid metal because again it could separate, and if it separates and gives a bare spot, you could just blow up the CPU, or you won't even know during the test that it's hitting 100 and some degrees on that one core, and then all of a sudden that one core stops working and the whole CPU might just stop working. So that really sucks. Yeah, liquid metal, don't get into it. Liquid metal, you need to make sure everything is absolutely perfect, basically. You can't put too much pressure onto it, or else you squeeze too much of the liquid metal out, because you need the liquid metal to actually be a part of the thickness as well. So like if you put too little onto it, it's no good. You put too much, it could run, and if it runs and touches any components, you'll blow up the GPU, you blow up the motherboard, you blow up the CPU, the RAM, you blow up everything. So just don't get into liquid metal. My preference, um, thermal grizzly, extreme cryonaut. It may be for low temperature, but it has been one of the best thermal wicking away that I've ever used. It's the best. It may be expensive. You can just get Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. It's still pretty good. It's not as good, but it's still good. You can buy it by the 1 gram. Still expensive, but my preference for any GPUs or CPUs in that, if you want the best for it and to make sure everything runs nice and cool all the time for years to come, that's what I would use. I've heard a lot of good things about Kingpin as well with his cooling, like his Sub-Zero stuff. So I might try that in the future, but it's just really expensive to buy. And I like to buy bulk because I do my overclocking, so I'm gonna want it on all my CPUs, all my GPUs. Then after all my overclocking, you gotta clean that off because there could be some moisture in there. Next time you run it, the moisture that's in there could cause a pocket of air after it gets after it heats up, right? And you could cause a pocket of air, which is no good. It just gets really expensive. Yeah, no, don't use like windshield washer or antifreeze. You can use what I like to use. Not recommended, of course. You got to make sure your the seals and the actual tubing itself. So I can actually show because my PC has been on actual. So as you can see, the color of it, it's not it's not LG or anything like that. It's the actual antifreeze with water mix. So I can go down to -30 with this setup right now, -30 right now with this setup, and not have to worry about the water actually freezing up. The acrylic, if you use any kind of acrylic, it's not recommended. The acrylic can crack. So my monoblock, I can't even show it because I can't move the PC. My back's too sore. But the monoblock that came with this motherboard that I got, because I came from a very hot location, and then Canada at the time was like -30. It got transported in not a like controlled climate, so it went from the hot temperature to the cold temperature, and then when I brought it inside to the warm environment on the inside, the monoblock cracked. Now it looks bad, but there's no leaks or anything like that. And I've been running this for years and years, just like this, with this setup, with the antifreeze water mix, and literally it has like special anti-corrosive materials. It has like lubricants built into it, so the D5 pump and everything's all copper, by the way, but it has like anti-corrosive materials in it as well, so that's very nice. It's just a certain antifreeze for car radiators that I use, not antifreeze for like windshield washer or anything like that. That can actually destroy the actual seals, by the way. Windshield washer fluid. You have to watch what kind of seals you have. If you don't have the correct seals, you can take the seals out of everything and put in the seals that work with it, and you should be just fine. But yeah, like I've been using this setup. Like I said, I have records that no one has beat for years on graphics cards and CPUs. So, and I've been using this setup for daily gaming, editing, workstation, everything, and then for years to come. Just because I know a thing or two about a thing or two, I've taken my time to learn things. Always search up what you're going to be working with, what it can do, cannot do. So on Intel forums, on any Intel CPUs, I'll go on to Intel itself, the actual Intel website, check out the actual architect of the CPU, check out what the core voltages max are, what kind of RAM you can put into it, because some RAM might not work as well as other ones, the voltages for everything for that. I'll go to the manufacturers and I'll go off of that. As long as you can keep stuff cool, though, you can put more voltages to keep it stable, of course, but you got to keep everything very cool. That's why liquid nitrogen goes down to -198. So if you get the cooler it is, you can put more voltage into it without having to worry about it degrading, basically. Yeah, yeah. There's different kind of antifreezes. There's multiple. There's antifreeze for your ice cream. Come on. There's edible antifreeze, buddy. There's food grade antifreeze. So there's a whole lot of things you can learn if you want to learn it, right? It depends on what you want to do. I like to learn new things, and I'm always learning new things. So By the way, anyone that's new to the channel, watching the stream, or just want to learn stuff, I do know a lot of things about a lot of things about PC stuff. So let me know if you have any questions. There is a giveaway for an X5570. So if you want to be a part of that, all you got to do is subscribe and message in a live chat, and you could be a winner after the 10th day of a stream for the giveaway. And each stream that I do may not be the actual giveaway stream, like the Intel Xeon stream. So if I stream tomorrow and it doesn't say giveaway, it's not part of the stream. Today's day one. This is the second stream of day one. So anyone that was part of the other stream that I did today, like Dan and everyone else, you're part of it because you subscribed. I've noticed that. And yeah, that's all you got to do is subscribe and message me. Just say hi, ask anybody about their day, or ask me a question that you have. Yeah, yeah. I so I don't have kids or anything like that, so I've spent a lot of my time learning stuff. So I don't have to worry about as much as other people. So I just like to keep learning new things. I know a lot about construction, as like I said, I've done a multiple different kind of trades out there. May not have a ticket for them, but I know a thing or two about it because either A, I got the actual college or university books from either my boss or searched up online, and I've read through it all for like different kind of trigonometry, algebra, and stuff like that. I'm learning C++ for coding and Python, more or less Python for coding though, because I want to learn more about AI and stuff like that and implementing my own coding into certain things. So, like reverse engineering stuff, like my camera up here, it is an AI. I want to engineer the coding into it to my specs. So, instead of having like a different kind of uh, like hand gesture, or this one doesn't have voice control, I could re-engineer it so that way it can have voice control, just like a more expensive version of it. This just depends on what you want to do with your time, basically. And what I want to do is learn as much as I can. But yeah, if you want to learn anything about coding, C++ is good for certain things. Python is a little bit more universal for certain people. So if you're trying to do like gaming, if you're trying to do, like I said, AI, it's good for that as well. If you're trying to do like video graphics and stuff like that, it's also pretty good. You just gotta know some math. You gotta know about your commands and functions and other things like that. It's just what you want to learn. But this channel is about PC stuff, so I'm not gonna talk too much about that. You don't need a top line PC to do coding, by the way. It's just more helpful to run error checking stuff basically, and to run codes a bit quicker after you've finalized it basically. Python. It's more universal. Like, it's just easier to implement codings into certain things or to grab different commands um, from a different source, basically. So you can grab a file from the internet if you wanted with Python using a certain command. And let's say you're running your air, you're not error, if you're running your codes and all of that, and you need to grab a certain file at a certain point of the your coding. So grab, let's say, you want to grab a visual aspect from the internet, you can do that with Python easier than C++. And then you can run an error correcting thing onto that after you implemented it to make sure it works. If it comes back with an error, it'll let you know what the error is, and you can easily correct it. C++ is not that easy. So I'll be right back. What do I want to grab here? I'm trying to learn both just because I have the time to, but Python is what I've learned so far, and trying to learn more of Of course, I'm not a professional. I don't make money off of it. They make good money if you're a professional. I could make money off it if I wanted to, but I'm not spending my time doing coding for companies that literally just gonna give me a code that is already written and just to check it out when you can run an error correcting code onto it. But you'd have to go through, let's say, like 300,000 command lines. Like there's so much sit down. I don't like to sit down for long periods of time. Yeah, I know I'm sitting down doing this, but generally on my streams, I'm not sitting down a whole lot. I move around a lot more. I'm grabbing things. I'm showing things. Yeah, I'm not a sit down type of person. But anyone that's new to the channel, just subscribe, send a message in the chat, and you could win an Intel Xeon X5570. And I'll be right back. You guys keep messaging. I'll catch up in a second here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because there's no reflective on the actual light. And then when I come back to it, it has to refocus things. As you can see, it's starting to focus now. Just takes its time sometimes. Uh, yeah. So what I've been doing with my time lately is I've been fixing up my buddy's leaf blowers for his grass cutting that he does for people. So a backpack leaf blower, he bought off of like an auction place. Yeah, they're like over $1,000 to buy a backpack leaf blower. It's a steel BR600. He got for cheap. Didn't work though. Had to do some valve work onto it, and the last person that owned it, switched the primer bulb on it. So it's just a squishy bulb that will help the fuel get to it, because it's a two-stroke, so it'll help get the fuel to it right off the bat. They flipped the lines; they're backwards. But the hard part really was the valves needed work, so I had to get a feeler gauge uh, down to a 4 thousandths of an inch, basically. So I fixed that all up. It runs for them. It doesn't sound the greatest, but it runs no problem. Another leaf blower is just a handheld one, a really beefy handheld one. It had to be tuned so that way if you let go of the trigger, it would turn off instead of hitting the switch. Well, the wires were cut for the cutoff on it, so I just soldered the wires together and then heat shrunk it back on for them. Not too difficult for that. The next thing I gotta work on for him though is a Toro self-powered push mower. Um, that's gonna need some work. It runs no problem, like the motor runs no problem. It cuts grass, but the self-powered doesn't work, and you can't adjust the actual up and down speed basically for it. Nice, yeah. It's always good to fix up stuff yourself, right? But yeah, the Toro lawnmower, self-powered lawnmower is like a $4,000 push mower. Like it's a commercial grade um, push mower, basically. He has multiple zero turn lawnmowers, but they work just fine. The one needs a new um, pulley wheel basically. The pulley wheel just old and then worn out basically. So every time you turned it off, it'd pop the belt. But can't find one that's a decent price. All of them are really expensive for it. But that's what I've been doing with my time. And yeah, that's about it. I haven't been doing a whole lot of PC stuff. Um, Another stream that I did, I was checking with my multimeter, my GT240. It's an EVGA GT240 that I use for all my overclocking because it has HDMI, it has VGA and DVI because it's just nice to have on overclocking. Plus, it doesn't need any external power, which is also nice. Um, I checked it over. I think it just needs a clean because it's been in storage, so maybe that was the reason why it was giving me a black screen. It runs, I know it runs, it works. It just gives me a black screen. So, and I've checked the fuse on it, checked out SMDs on it. So, and everything is pumping out the correct amount of voltage or ohms. If anyone's new to the stream, again, there's a giveaway. You just gotta subscribe and send a message in the chat. You can just say hi or give me a question and I can answer it for you. Um, Anyone here can vouch that I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Yeah, I do. So I used to help out my buddies with their Hondas, their 1,000 horsepower Hondas with valve work. So the valves had to be done a certain way with their K24 type engines. The valves had to be done a certain way, so that way when they put the turbo and that onto it, it can accept that kind of power. They would blow them up within a year anyways, because that's just what happens when you put 1,000 horsepower through a little four cylinder, right? But they went fast. Holy, scary how fast those Hondas with the K24 go. That's really how I got into engines and that. I just helped out my buddies with valve work and stuff like that. I can do a little bit like cylinder polishing or cylinder work as well, but I don't do any kind of boring or head work. You need you need to have a certain kind of mill to do head work on it, and the boring as well. You can have a mill help you as well. You gutted cars? I worked at a scrap yard for a bit too, from a few years ago. So I've learned a thing or two about non-ferrous and ferrous type metals as well, and certain components of PCs that are worth more, and cars that are worth more, cats like catalytic converters that are worth more, worth less. Diesels aren't worth as much as gas, by the way, for catalytic converters. Oh, this is the light. This light? Nah, this light is just a 7-watt LED light, man. I used to have four of them. So that way you didn't see the shadow that's right here. I would have it on different angles and on top, so that way everything looked better. If you go back to my older few months ago streams, like 3 months ago streams, you can see that I did have a better setup. But things from the past have bit me in the ass basically, so I have to get some stuff done for a few things. Whenever I get it settled, maybe I'll have a stream about my past and let people know a little bit more about myself personally. But Until then, I would like to keep things more private. Oh, yeah, the K24, yeah. Light. Oh, the light is fine. Yeah, yeah, they're very light. Yeah. But yeah, the K24 is we're able to handle the power just to a different type of oil pass through that it had. So that way it went at to I think around 6,500 RPM or 7,000 RPM. It would kick in the certain type of oil function through the engine. So that way it would automatically kick into being able to put more RPMs into it. And as long as you had a good K24 type with certain compression, you can throw a turbo into it and easily hit 800 horsepower on a four cylinder. But they had them up to literally 1,000 or 1,200 horsepower in a four cylinder engine. Absolutely insane how fast they went for how light they were. And they also had like slicks on them on the fronts, right? So like when they went, they went. Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane how fast those cars went. I had a Volkswagen diesel. I had a stage two turbo kit installed with a chip. It was 265 horsepower, but since it was diesel, it was almost 500 horsepower, 500 foot-pound of torque in it, and it weighed about 3,200 pounds. It went. There's a lot of people that wanted to race me, like a bunch of Audis and our um, Porsche 911s. They always wanted to race me because as soon as they heard the turbo spool up, they were like, okay, this guy means a bit of business. But I can literally go from first gear, or sorry, I can always start off in second gear, and then I can always go up to about 65 kilometers an hour just in second gear right off the bat, and then have to switch to third gear. I can go all the way up to 140 kilometers an hour from there. So like highway speed basically. When they had to like go from like first, second, third, fourth, or if they had automatic, they had to have a really good automatic to even touch my takeoff because my takeoff was just so fast. If they had way more horsepower though, then yeah, of course they're gonna beat me after the uh, after about 100 meter, 200 meters, they would pass me though. But they had to have a pretty hefty car. Yeah, if you ever search up on YouTube, search up a Volkswagen sport wagon with a stage three turbo. Oh, they sound so good. They sound like a diesel. When you turn them off, it just the wind down on the turbo is so nice. Mine only had a stage two, but for me that was plenty because I can get 1,200 kilometers per tank, and yeah, it was insanely fuel efficient if you knew what you're doing. Yeah, it was very nice. It was only a 2 liter as well. There's only a 2 liter, but you can put quite a bit of power into them. Yeah, 1,200 kilometers per tank as well. 1,200. It cost me about $40 to fill up every 2 weeks because I had to drive quite a bit for work at the time. I only have to fill up every 2 weeks. 1,200 kilometers. Yeah, push to start too. It was the Volkswagen Sportwagen Wolfberg edition. So it was made in Germany and then shipped over here to Canada. I got secondhand, of course, but it's still a very expensive car. Yeah, those early, yeah, especially those early diesels, the Rabbits. Oh, they're super light but fast. And then, as long as they had over 100,000 kilometers on them, you can do a certain mod to them. Not like a like bigger turbo. You just put a chip into them, and you can put like an overdrive on them. But it had to have over 100,000 kilometers on it, so that way it can actually accept the chip and actually work properly without damaging the engine. But you can put like an overdrive on it, like you would do with like a 12 valve Cummins for like um, Dodge, if you know anything about 12 valves. Again, I know a thing or two about a thing or two, so like I can talk about basically anything and yeah, just blab on about it. Yeah, the 12 valve Cummins 5.7 liter are a sought after engine because you could put an overdrive chip onto them onto a stock engine and it automatically give you an extra about 100 horsepower and close to 200 foot-pound of torque without doing anything. Just put on I think it was a $400 chip. That's it. That's all you had to do, and then just hook it up onto a switch, and boom, you instantly got way more power. Same thing with my Volkswagen. Like I said, it had a chip, an overdrive chip, but the overdrive chip worked better if you had a stage 3 turbo kit into it. Mine only had a stage 2. Yeah, so like now it's a 24 valve Cummins. That's the new one, so they're 24 valve instead of the 12. Oh, insane! Absolutely insane! Insane power! Insane! Yeah, the more torque you got into something, the more pulling power you got, and the quicker takeoff you got. Yeah, it might not be the fastest at the end of the run, but if you can get that takeoff, the grip, especially if you can get the grip, that takeoff, you're ahead, you're way ahead. And then if you can have more horsepower, that's when you can get that uh, horsepower is the overall RPM in that. You can get faster as you go. Diesel, you get the faster takeoff as long as you have the actual grip on your tires or enough weight to make it so you have the grip. To anyone that's just joining the stream, just subscribe, comment in the comment section. This channel is about PCs. Yes, we're talking about diesels and cars right now, but I generally talk about PC stuff, and I do know a thing or two about PCs. Let's bring that down a bit. And bring this up a bit so that way we can get rid of some of that. There we go. That looks a little better. Exactly how fast you can get there. So if your 60 foot's really good, and then your 200 foot's really good, but your ending's not so good. It depends on how fast that 60 and 120 foot or 200 foot is, and your overall speed at the end. The fastest cars in the world. Oh, I was just watching actually a video about one of the fastest hill climbing cars in the world. It's electric, but it uses a fan to suck it down to the ground. And the guy is literally doing 120 miles per hour, like in almost a 90-degree turn. He's doing 120 miles per hour. This guy drives special cars all of his life. And when he did it, you can put it on different modes to make it go to feel like an F1 car. And it has a 24,000 RPM fan, like a giant fan that sucks the car down to the ground so that way it can get more traction. And then each wheel had 500 horsepower electric motor on the rear wheels, 500 horsepower per wheel. The G forces he was saying up to 3.6 Gs, something like that. It's so he went against a GTR 3. I think they are called a GTR 3 Porsche. If you know them, GTR 3, I think it is the new ones. They're like $400,000 cars. He did a race against it, and it looked like that car was still not moving. How fast he went off. He was literally gone. And then he said the GTR 3, I think it is GTR 3. Yeah, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. The max G's on that was like 2.3 or 2.6 G's. The car he was in starts with an M. It's some weird name. It's a very small car, electric car, so I don't know much about electric and don't keep it in my brain because it's not something I really care about. But how fast he was going around corners and how fast it was moving, yeah, it's an insane car. But up to like 3.6 G's around, like going around a corner, it's absolutely insane. Mind blowing is I literally had to stop, pause it, go back, be like, hey, buddy, come watch this. He's not even like a car guy or electric car guy either. And I was like, watch this. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, each wheel's 500 horsepower. It uses a fan. And I said the car he's going against is a $400,000 car that has records of its own, but it doesn't even touch this electric car. Doesn't even touch it. No, no, the car, the electric car that was. Give me 1 second. I'll search up the name of it so that you can know. It had modes that went from different modes. It had like 20 different modes. It only hit 144 miles an hour. That's what it limit. They had a limit on how fast they would let it go. So it went, I think, to 144 miles an hour. But you can literally almost do a full circle, 144 miles an hour, like a 90, almost 90-degree turn at 120 miles an hour. That's this hill line. Uh, electric. This keyboard's not in the right spot. It's called the Goodwood. No, no, that's not the Goodwood. That's the hill. McMurdy. It's called the McMurdy fan car. There's the first production McMurdy and the second. He was using both models, but the McMurdy first production was the better one that he said because it had an actual record on it. It wasn't as fast as the second run, but again, it can only go so fast. Like 144, 148 is what he got it up to, but they had a limit. Like they limited the speed on it. You can go faster, but they limit it because it's a hill climb car. The guy said it had something like 19 or 20 different modes, and it went up to an F1 car. An F1 car. I'm not talking. We're not talking that. We're F1 car, like an F1 car. He went up to that mode, and he can only handle that mode for 2 laps of the track he was on. Only he was only able to, and this guy does cars, like test cars, for like the past 40 years. He's an older gentleman, but he said he could only handle 2 laps. Then he had to put the mode down because he's literally going around corners so fast that like the refresh rate of our eyes, right? We can only do so much, and then how many G's we're pulling while trying to focus and make sure we're doing everything correct. He's doing everything way faster than what he's used to, so he can only do 2 laps, and then he's like, I can't do any more. I have to put this down, and we'll just take it easy for now because I'm exhausted. He's like, I'm exhausted. I can't do anymore. And to me, that's insane. Yeah, it's called the McMurdy fan car. It has a hill climb. It has the hill climb record. 0 to 60 in 1.3 seconds. It can only go up to 144. It's limited to 144 miles an hour, but he was able to get it to 148 on a straightaway. But that's its limit. It literally is limited. So like you cannot go any faster by the manufacturer. The car is super small. It's like half size. It's almost like a size of what do they call it? A Prius. It's almost the size of a Prius. It just looks like a sport car. It's just a very small car. But it uses a fan, a 24,000 RPM fan to suck it down to the ground so that way it can go around these corners. 0 to 100. Yeah, with the handling, yeah. So 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. MZ Racing first team beat the ones I know. That's not it. McMurdy. Back in 2022. It says 1.4. It goes faster in 1.4 seconds. So 0 to 60, it's saying 1.4, but it does 0 to 60 miles per hour, 1.32 seconds. 0 to 100 miles per hour, 2.6 seconds. And its limit, like I said, 144, 145 mile per hour. It can go 0 to its maximum speed of 145 miles per hour in less than 5 seconds. It does a quarter mile in 7 seconds. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Yeah, I was blown away. I was like, holy. This car is very small, like very small. You sit in the middle of the car and you need people to put the doors on for you because the doors come right off. It's such a small car, but it has the hill climb record. So yeah. Okay. We need some PC questions. Any PC questions, please? Glad you're still here, Hart. Sorry about talking about car stuff. I just had to say something about it because yeah, I saw that the other day and I was like, holy moly, absolutely insane. Just gonna message someone quick. Hope everyone night is going good. Mine seems to be going good. My back is still sore, but I'm taking it easy. So hopefully tomorrow my back feels better. Generally isn't though, so hopefully it feels just better. Turret. Should go get myself a water too. I'm kind of parched. Come on, phone, keep up. Let's go. Night's going pretty good. Night is going pretty good. My phone though is not keeping up right now. Why? Uh, maybe I'll go hardware bots. Yeah, it's pretty good. Could always be better, but you know, can't complain, right? Let's see. What should I check out? I haven't done any. I should do some more X5570s, the Xeon that I'm giving away. I should do some more overclocking on, or just do some tests for it so that way I have more points. I do need to get a newer CPU, like another 13900K KF or 14900K or KF. I don't mind the KFs. The KFs are good for overclocking. You just don't have a graphics card built into it, right? So it's the only part about having the KF. But they overclock very well. Generally overclock a little bit better than the Ks, but Not as much as the KS's. Let's see. Competition season ranking. Yes. Level. Different levels. Where am I in it? $223. Not that good. Whole 12 points. Not that good for that, but that's okay. Let's go to my profile. Now, just need to check out a couple things. Competition, 77 points earned. All points, 4,110. It's not bad. If anyone's new to the stream, this is a part 1 of the giveaway. Each day that I have this giveaway stream, there'll be 10 streams of the giveaway. Every time that I do it, you just need to be a subscriber and message on the chat, and you're part of the giveaway. That's all you got to do. And at the end, I'll just go through all the subscribers that I have, everyone that has chatted on those streams, and then I'll be putting people in like a hat or something and drawing a name. If you don't want the CPU, you can just give it forward type thing. If you know anything about giving it forward, I can just take your name out and I can redraw for somebody else that may want the CPU. Should go get myself some water though. I'm getting a little parched. Greatest time is ahead on that one. Maybe I'll show a couple of things I've done with the 13900 KF. I've gotten some decent scores with it before I broke it. You listen to Ascension, or what are you listening to? If you're still listening. X5570, I got over 5 gigahertz. Actually, yeah, let me search up my X5570. Or X5650, sorry. Let's see. Oh, I didn't do the CPU frequency though. I should have done that. Oops. Yeah, so I got it up to 5 gigahertz by the looks of it for my best. Wow, my best score. Yeah, so I need to redo some tests with the X5650 that I have, which is another Xeon. It's just an upgraded. It's 6-core 12 thread instead of like a 4-core 8 thread. It's the part of their Xeon LJ1366 5600 series, not the 5500 series. It's a pretty good CPU. Best I got is just over 5 gigahertz. More or less because the motherboard I have, best probably I can do on it is about around 5 gigahertz. I only hit 50 degrees, 49 degrees on full load. So, and I think I was only using 1.5 4.9 or 1.5 volts, which isn't terrible. If I use like liquid nitrogen or dry ice, could probably easily do 5 gigahertz at like 1.35 volts. I know sleep token. Oh yeah, hold on, let me check, see if I was dropping more. Holy moly, it dropped it dropped a lot of frames. I'm not sure why it does that. Like I said, maybe the next stream I should have done it on this stream, but maybe the next stream I'll lower the amount of kilobytes that I use and see if that actually helps the frame drop. That kind of sucks. I generally it's not like this, right? So generally I don't lose any frames, or I might lose one frame during a 12-hour stream, but this is the best I got right now. I could lower the amount of kilobytes, so I don't know if I could do that right now though. Let's see, stream, video, advanced, nope, general, nope, output, there it is, output, apply, okay, there we go. So now I lowered the amount, so now it won't use as much kilobytes, but hopefully it doesn't drop frames. Generally, I'm around 4,000 kilobytes per second, so that way everything looks very clear. Because I am recording or streaming at 4K, even though it's only going to be at 1080p. That's just YouTube, right? But generally, I'm at 4K always for recording or streaming. It's just better quality. If you do 1080p on a stream, it doesn't look as good. It looks like it's 720p basically. Oh, you should be able to do, oh, maybe that's after the stream. So after the stream, it usually takes a while after a stream though, the quality will be 1080p. I'm not sure if it's doing 720 right now for the stream. Should be 1080 though. You should be able to go 1080. Let's see. Let's see what I can do. No, I don't want that. I want this. Settings. And advanced. Now you should be able to do 1080p 60 frames right now. Yep, yep. Yeah, should be 1080p 60 frames. Even though I am streaming at a 4K 30 frames, due to the way I have it set for the streaming, it will downgrade the 4K to 1080, just a clear resolution 1080p though, and it will make it 60 frames. So it just looks better. If I go to 1080p 60 frames, what I do is I'll record or stream at 120 frames per second, so that way everything just so I can like move around and you don't see all this weirdness. Like you can probably see the like the sway and all that. It's not that good. But if I have it set to recording that at 120, when you upload it or stream onto it, it's very smooth looking. But my camera can only do 4K 30 frames. But the way you can record though, like or stream, is you can up the frames to 60 frames and it will make it a little bit more than 30 frames at 1080p, which makes it look better in my opinion. Just gives you a better resolution. That's just the amount of frames it isn't as good. And it looks like I dropped a couple more frames there. So it doesn't matter what I do really, I'm gonna be dropping frames. I do apologize if it does seem like it's gonna stutter and that. I shouldn't lose audio though. Audio should be fairly good. Yeah, if anyone's new to the stream, just subscribe, comment, and you could win a X5570. Might go get myself some water though, so I'll be right back. This is the longest I've streamed in a while, so hopefully everyone's liking the stream. I will be right back though. Ooh, I'm back. And then give the camera a bit here to focus the ISO compensation. Compensation. There we go. Ooh. There we go. We're back in somewhat focus. Oh, yeah. We're losing frames again. We're losing frames. There we go. Go back up. Thank you. We lost like another 200 frames there in 2 seconds. Best we got. It is the best we got right now. It is okay. I know I brought out the Antec P100 case. If anyone wants to see it again, I can muster up the energy to pick it back up and show it off. It is a monster case, an older case. It's an Antec P100 silent case. You can just search it up if you want. But if you want to see it, I can show it. It does have a EVGA 850 gold rated power supply in it right now. I would like to build another streaming PC just so I can take apart my main PC here, clean it up a bit. Yeah, as soon as I came back, right? Yeah. Yeah, it can be random. I did lower the kilobytes, but as soon as I came back, I was looking and it was dropping to about 500 kilobytes per second, which I need to be above 2,000 kilobytes to make it a nice looking stream at 4K. Well, 4K recording, because it'll downgrade to 1080p, of course. If I wanted to, I could record or stream at 1080p. 60 frames. It just doesn't look as good in my opinion, like I said. Then I could drop the kilobytes down to about 1200. It should work. But for what I want to do, I'm okay with it. Yeah, list of things to get. What do you mean? I don't know if I'm right live on the chat here. Yeah, I'm okay. What do you got to get? Yeah, you generally can get a lot of things bundled in used builds. Depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to buy from eBay or Amazon also does used as well, that you can do bundles as well and save money on that, and they go through like a quality check to make sure that it's basically like new, or let you know it has a couple minor scratches on it but it doesn't affect functionality. Then you can do Facebook Marketplace for around your area and also find bundle deals too. I've been looking at some AM3 Plus boards so I can do my my 6000 AI. It's a weird CPU. I forgot what it's actually called. The 6000 series AM3 CPU. And then my FX 8150 from AMD. It's a bulldozer from way back. I think 2008 or something like that. 2008 or 2012, around there. 2010. I think it's from 2010, to be honest. But it uses AM3 Plus. The AM3 Plus motherboard I was overclocking the FX 8150. Completely fried the VRAMs on it, on the motherboard. So, yeah, that one's, I mean, like the traces melted through it. It completely blew up the board. It went, the CPU overclocked very well though on it, but didn't have enough cooling on the motherboard, and probably would need extreme cooling for that motherboard because it didn't have enough power phases on it. Yeah, usually the FM pluses, they, I don't know, they just don't, they don't handle a lot of power through them unless you have like extreme cooling on it. So, or really good heat sinks with really powerful fans. Like you're gonna need something to cool either the back side and the front side, or just have really good power phases. And what I found with the plus boards is you need to have a upgraded version of it, so it has to be at least a 10 layer PCB basically to be anywhere good for overclocking on the FX series. Oh yeah, doing the esports practice. Yeah, I can't wait to be doing the Country Cup. I'm hoping to help out Canada. I think we're third place right now. Just give me 1 second. What are we right now? Rankings, country, for season. We are in fifth place right now for overall. We are not doing so hot. We are not doing so hot. 31,000 points. So, not that great. Competition points, so C points, we're at 860. Hardware points, we're at 21,000. And global points, we're only at 9,000. So, we're not doing so great. Would like to hopefully get some more competition points. We got some decent competition points, like we're beating out Australia and France for competition points, but we need to get more global points. So I would need to get like a 14900K, or like get like the new Intel X285 CPU. So that way we can get some more global points, because global points are like the best of the best basically, and hardware points is just per hardware, so per motherboard, per RAM, per CPU or GPU type thing, right? Or even your hard drive or SSD. Yeah, no 15th gen, right? Like, come on. I thought they were, but uh, for the I was part of the leak on the X2 285 CPUs. So if you go way back, I was one of the first people to know about the leak of the new CPUs. So if you want to go check out that video, it is a leak. So I did know about it. Uh, LGA 1866, I believe it is, something like that. And then I was part of the leak on the new cam RAM as well. One of the top 5 people that first came out with it on YouTube and started talking about it. I started doing research on cam RAM a while back. It was made for laptops, but they made cam 2 RAM for desktop computers now. So I would like to get that because it'd be awesome. What were you doing for the esports practice there, Frosty? You should check out, see if that FM Plus board works, if you have any CPUs. They're fun to overclock on. I've done a lot of older CPU overclocking, AMD or Intel, but the newer stuff, like the past 10 years or 8 years, I know a lot more for Intel, not for like Ryzen or anything. I just haven't invested my money into it yet. I like to have the best stuff, and the best stuff for either overclocking or for certain things for games and that. And AMD is only good for certain things. Doesn't matter if you're an AMD fan. I'm sorry to say there's a lot of issues with AMD. A lot more issues with their newer stuff as well than Intel. Intel, yeah, had some issues as well, but it all started with AMD. So if you don't know about AMD blowing up motherboards and CPUs a few years ago, then you should probably search that up because it started with AMD. It's only because there's so much voltage through one single um, uh, like pad behind the actual CPU to the motherboard was getting too much voltage, and it was literally bulging the CPU and then literally burning out the motherboard and CPU at the same time and frying systems. Intel at least had a fix for it. AMD didn't. They had to do a whole bunch of things and recalls. Just a lot of people didn't know about it. And a lot of people knew about Intel because more people buy Intel. Who knew? That's right. Intel owns about 78% of the CPU market, by the way. AMD owns about 8%. Valorant. Good old Valorant. I played a little bit of it. I was professional right off the bat. People were like, how long have you been playing? I'm like, it's my first day. They're like, nah, how long have you been playing? Like, my first day. I have a lot of hours in CSGO, by the way. Then have a lot of hours on another game called Alliance of Valent Arms. Came out before CSGO. So, I was a professional sniper in it. I don't play games anymore. Well, once in a while I will, but I don't really play games because I like to learn things. Like I said, I like to learn more about coding, more about PC hardware, overclocking, just to get better at it because I would like to be better at it. And then eventually get into liquid nitrogen here in the future. Not too long, hopefully, but at least here in the future, get into liquid nitrogen. Just gotta invest my money in certain stuff for it. Investment money, as in, like, yeah, hopefully make money in the future off of it, because you can make money overclocking stuff with competitions and that. Yeah, I'm not lucky. I just after work, that's what I did at the time, was I either overclocked at overclocked stuff, or I played games, and that was, I only played one game at a time. I didn't play 30 different games like everybody else. I stuck to one game, so my muscle memory got really good. And then I uh, bought a better monitor. My mouse is still like an original mouse from years ago. It's a G203 Prodigy. Literally the same mouse I've been using for, I don't know, since this mouse came out, basically, like for 8 years now, or 9-year old mouse now. Still works like it's brand new. Has metal tape on the bottom now for the skates. I sand the top in that for it, so it has more grip for my fingers and hand, but still works just fine. Yeah, I made money off of CS:GO. Open up certain packs and winning a knife and then selling it. The knife I have now is worth about 200 bucks, and then buying certain stuff on it after selling stuff. So buying certain op skins or deagle skins, the value tripled in price. So I sold them, made some money off it, and then bought myself professional 3D Mark, like one-time purchase professional, like so that way any new 3D Mark test that comes out, I get it for free. So that's what I invested my money into, is overclocking, and that's why I have literally totes and 11 motherboards. I have about 30 different GPUs, a whole bunch of like hundreds of CPUs. Yeah, that's what I did. I don't use wireless mouse. I have I fixed up. I was given was that super, it's a super light, Logitech super light or something like that. I don't know what it's called, super light pro or something like that. I fixed that mouse up. I fixed up the clicker on it, basically. I never used it though, because instead of getting something different, muscle memory is off of what you already have, right? So if you keep switching your mouse and keyboard, your monitor and stuff, you're gonna lose muscle memory and your refresh rate for your eyes and brain. So you got to keep the same thing and use it for years, and then you just automatically get good at it. You can go back to my like live streams and videos on my CS:GO, and you can just see like it literally looks like I'm hacking because like it's so quick, but never hacked before, right? So it's like people keep saying in chat hacking, hacking. No, it's position of the mouse and muscle memory. Yep, that's all I use is a wired G203 Prodigy and have been for 8 or 9 years. It's the exact same one that I've always had. The clickers still work on it. The scroll wheel is not as good because instead of having the key to quick switch stuff, I use the scroll wheel. Again, muscle memory, so I stick with one thing and just got good with it. Sniper. Been using sniper in games for every game. Same thing with Apex Legends. I got in Apex Legends. I have videos about that. Same thing. There's certain ways you can set up the controllers to make it like CS:GO with the snipers, like the Sentinel, and yeah, it's fun. Yeah, yeah, man. It's heart exactly. Dedicate your time to um, RAM timings. If you need help, man, DDR3, DDR4, DDR4, it has to be Samsung B die. I know a lot about Samsung B die. I use Patriot Viper, 4000 mega transfer DDR4 Samsung B die, and I can help you with voltages. I've only ever gotten the voltages to go to a max of 1.35 volts because I didn't have a good motherboard, but I was able to get 42 or 4400 megahertz to mega transfers now, right? Megahertz out of them, but if I had a better motherboard, I can overclock them more. But I was able to get the timings pretty good on them. But DDR5, I probably have close to 600, 700 hours on just timing DDR5 Micron and DDR5 Hynix M die. So if you need any help with that, I have a lot of hours, a lot of late nights, weekends just dedicated to timings, RAM, primary, secondaries, learn about world latency trips, certain different applications on motherboards that could help affect the actual RAM timings and stability. Like just let's see, let's check out. Let's go open up Steam here. Just the hours in just doing tests for 3D Mark um, on here. So just 3D Mark on Steam. If you want to download 3D Mark and do some tests, you don't have to buy anything, of course. You can do some tests for free. But again, like I said, I have the one-time payment, get everything for free. I have over 300 hours just on 3D Mark on Steam, just uh, just for tests, just on Steam. And then I'd have 3D Mark Vantage, 3D Mark 11, 3D Mark 03, Geekbench 3, Geekbench 4, Geekbench 5, Geekbench 6. Also, Benchmate. I wish I knew how many hours I actually have on Benchmate because Benchmate has a whole bunch of tests like 7-zip, your SimBench R11, SimBench R15, SimBench R15 Extreme, SimBench R20, SimBench R23. I do know a bit about SimBench R24 as well, or SimBench 2024. I so many hours on cheap GPUI Pi, PY Prime, Super Pi, Pi Fast, W Prime, and Y Cruncher. There's so many tests. 3D Mark 2001 second edition as well. Yeah. It's a lot of tests you can do, and I have a lot of hours spent on RAM timings, core frequency with core voltages for different CPUs, motherboard overclocking, GPU overclocking. It's just, like I said, dedicated my time to it. You getting a laptop tomorrow? What kind of oh, was that what the laptop with the 3050 in it that you were talking about? You gotta let me know what kind of CPU it has. I remember sometimes, buddy. Yeah, just let me know what CPU it has, and then I don't. Again, I'm not a laptop person, but it's fairly close to desktop, as in like if you can overclock it, I can help you out with it. If anyone's new to the stream, this is a giveaway stream. So if you subscribe and then chat in the chat here, the live chat, you can have a chance to win a Xeon CPU. This is definitely one of my longest streams I've done in a while. I am losing frames. I'm losing some frames. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Yeah, my buddy has a laptop with an Intel i9. I think it's an i9, i9 10850 CPU, and the GPU is a 3060. It's pretty powerful for it. For a laptop, I ran a hardware monitor on it, and without doing a whole lot on it, is running up to 120 watts on a laptop. 120 watts. This whole streaming setup I have, so with the webcam, the monitor, the light, and my PC going, I'm not even hitting 50 watts. Now, let's say I have my 13900 KF in here, I'd be hitting about 120, 150 watts while streaming. Not like streaming doesn't use a whole lot really. Just needs the power for the encoder from the GPU or encoder from the CPU. I don't like the encoders on the CPUs, even though they're not half bad on these newer ones, but the encoders on these 30 series and 40 series NVIDIA graphics cards are creme de la creme. Very nice. MSI thin, 15.6 inch. FHD 144 hertz. FHD's alright. I mean, 144 hertz is pretty crazy on a laptop though. Intel Core i5 13420H. Oh, I did read up a little bit on the 13420H and the 3050. 16 gig DDR4, 512 gig SSD. So it's a 16 gig on RAM, DDR4. That's good. DDR4 is really good for a lot of things. DDR5 is only good for certain things that you want to do. DDR4 has a better latency than DDR5. So it's nice. The timings are a lot tighter usually on DDR4 than DDR5. Like I said, it depends on the dies, right? Hynix A die and Hynix M die for DDR5. You can lower the timings extremely low, which is really nice. The primary timings won't even get close to DDR4 primary timings though. So the latency, the overall latency is better for gaming and stuff like that. For $639, how are you getting it that cheap? That's actually insane. Used, right? Used? There's no way of getting that new. My buddy, I think he paid $3,000 for his laptop. Wow, that's insane. $639. Yeah, my buddy paid like $3,000. It's a 10850. I'm not sure if it's a 108. I'm pretty sure it's a 10850 H2 or something like that. And then it has a 3060 though in it. A little bit powerful, more powerful of a GPU, but still, the CPU and the GPU kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not a laptop person. I know they're efficient and not as powerful as desktop, but it's only a 10850 versus your 13420H there. Yeah, it's got to be on sale. That'd be like used price. That's insane, the price. You're US though. Are you US? We're Canadian, so our prices are just way up. Like that'd be like almost $1,000 laptop on sale, or at least like right around $870. Canadian, yeah, US, yeah. Be around $870, I do believe. My yeah, math is correct from US to Canadian dollar. My phone's actually going nuts, people. All like Discord, and I don't even have Discord on. It's just people on different channels. I don't even know why that's going. It shouldn't be. Should I thought I'd turn the notification off on Discord. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Absolutely going insane. If anyone has any questions about PC stuff, let me know. I'm more on desktop hardware, new, old, don't really matter. More of an Intel person, but I do know a bit about Ryzen and AMD. A little bit about ARM as well, ARM PCs, or ARM processors. I only know about the ARM because I wanted to get into like the Raspberry Pis and type things that use them. That's a Walmart for you. Yeah, 600, that's a really good buy. Especially if you're just really doing some gaming, like you said, Minecraft and whatnot. I do editing, I do streaming, I do recording, I do some gaming nowadays, but I do a lot of overclocking. So desktop computers are the way to go for doing all that. You can do the hardware bot uh, for overclocking with laptops, but most of their competitions are not going to allow laptop type uh, CPUs or GPUs. It's got to be desktops. They do laptops, but I mean, most of the competitions don't do that. This 7th gen CPUs are nice. The 1050 Ti was a really good GPU as well at the time. The most bought in GPU at the time and used for like on Steam and that was the 1660. 1660? Yeah, the 1660. I'm not even sure if it was the Ti or the Super, but the 1660 was the most bought. Like 70% of the people on Steam had a 1660, which is a 6 gigabyte. Yeah, I can believe it. Laptops years ago were really expensive. I had a laptop back in 2011. Yeah, back in 2011, I had a laptop, but that was it. I had the HP. Oh, sorry, I had the Toshiba Satellite. That was it. The Toshiba Satellite. Um, 17 inch, I think it was. It's a pretty. It was like the top of the line Toshiba Satellite version that I got. It was around $1,300 at the time, which was, to me was a lot of money. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Just some people like, um, if you're gonna get a tablet, if you do multimedia editing and creation, Apple, I'm I'm not an like I hate Apple because it's proprietary, right? But if you do that kind of stuff, Apple is the way to go. It's uh, you can't beat it. It's really efficient. The batteries last a long time, and it's literally designed and has applications for doing that stuff that are built right into it. So if you're not an Apple fan, though, then I'm not sure. I'm not a tablet person, but for anyone that does work like editing and stuff like that, Apple is very good. It has its own stuff for that stuff. For me, like I said, I build my own stuff and I know what I need and what to use, and I can make it a lot cheaper than buying an Apple product, and I can make it more powerful. If you do the right CPUs and that, you can make them just as efficient though as well. So depends on your preference. But Apple has literally its own applications for video editing, editing stuff, and all that. So that's up to you. Yeah, and that was the reason why I put my fist through the laptop, the Toshiba satellite. Um, Playing AVA. I played that game for 11 years, by the way. AVA, Alliance of Valiant Arms. Not the new one that's out that was bought by whatever company. It was back with EG, IJJI. Um, Back with that company is when I started playing it. And the Toshiba satellite started dying on me. And since it was very difficult to work on and all that, I was playing the game and it kept doing these. The hard drive basically went in, and then I got mad, and my fist went through it, and I never looked back and never bought another laptop. Like literally, my hand went through the laptop screen. Like I was so mad, like so mad. And then I'm losing frames again. I lost a lot of frames that time. Holy. Sorry about that. It generally isn't this bad. Yeah, like I said, if you're looking for like video editing and stuff, and that is what you're like multimedia editing dash creation, then yeah, Apple's the way to go. Especially if you can get it for a good price. It has everything for you. The screen has a 4K screen. It has the resolution that you're looking for. The picture quality is literally exact, almost like they're designed for people that do multimedia editing, creation, and stuff like that. So Apple's the way to go. Don't ask me to do anything with it or anything like that because I don't. I can fix up some of the older Apple iPhones. I can take them apart and change out batteries or screens and that. But the newer stuff is you take it apart, you gotta have to have a certain code, you have to have a certain piece to put it into it, you have to have certain equipment to be able to take it apart nowadays for the newer stuff. It's just a hassle. Yeah, I have a Samsung. I have an older Samsung. That's what I use for my chat and all that. Um, it is an older Samsung. It's literally updated as far as it can go, but I'm gonna have to get a new phone here soon, like a newer phone, because I won't be able to use some apps that I need, like my banking apps and certain things, because it's not updated as far as it can go, and my apps that I need to for my everyday life, I won't be able to use here soon, within the next year. So I'm gonna have to get a new phone. Plus, I've dropped it. It's enough like one of those full glass ones. I've dropped it and it's cracked everywhere and the camera sucks on it. But it's lasted me really. Being in construction, having a phone that can last and one that I can repair myself is the way to go. So I won't go with Apple. Yeah, the Toshiba hard drives were garbage. Yeah, exactly. This phone is what 8 or 9 years old now, and that's it. That's all it wrote. I literally next year I have to have a new phone, or else I won't be able to use a bunch of things. And The corporations, yeah, I kind of get why they can't keep up with it because they have to have a certain they need people to be able to code certain things for all these applications for these phones, and then they can't afford it, or not like they can't afford it, they could, but they can't keep certain people onto it because they're running all the people have these newer stuff, and they need more people onto that, so they have to cancel some things so that way they can make things uh, more affordable for people, or keep the pays of the people that are doing these good jobs for us. They keep the pays up for them. They got to keep the money going into themselves as well, right? Because they got so many factories, so many workers, so many insurances and stuff like that. So I kind of get it. Like a lot of us think, oh, it's so expensive and this and that. Well, we complain too much. Our minimum wage makes things expensive. Gas prices make things expensive. Like there's so many things, inflation and all that. Housing market is gone up through the roof in most places, and we don't know as much as what we should about it. The government does what they can, but we only know so much. Maybe they aren't doing as much as they can, but since technology is run over and a lot of people leak stuff and all that, things are changing some things, but some things we just don't know about, right? Like there's so many things that get put into certain companies, certain corporations, certain franchises that we don't know why these prices are this way. It's because, well, they need to build new factories and they need to come up with new technology. Well, if they have to come up with new technology, they're going to need certain people with certain qualifications that need to be paid a certain amount of money because they're dedicating literally their life to us, but we don't know them, and so we just complain. A lot of people just complain. But I love old hardware because um, they're designed to last, and it's not just designed to last, is at the time that was the best we could do, but the best we could do was literally something that could last, like these old Xeons, right? 45 nanometer. 45 nanometers is huge compared to the new 12 nanometers that we have, but the 12 nanometers have so many issues because like everything's gotten so small. We still got to put voltages through them to be able to do things, and if you put too much voltages into them, then it could ruin it. And to advance into um, more powerful stuff, you need to have more power, and we're at smaller nanometer, and that smaller nanometer just can't handle it, and we need to keep advancing so that way they can sell stuff. So that's why Intel and AMD and a bunch of other companies with like the Intel X285, it doesn't have as many cores, or it it's not going to be as power hungry, but it's not going to be like an all around. It's not gonna be good for gaming. It's not gonna be good for workstation. It's not gonna be an all around. It's just gonna be strictly for certain things. Back, with these 13900Ks, 14900Ks, 24 cores. I mean, holy moly, that's a lot of cores. Gamers don't need that many cores. That's why they disabled the E cores on them, so that way they can game at a higher frequency and keep things cool. Because you need to keep things cool because we're at a lower nanometer. I mean, like, there's so many things. So many things nowadays. I have a Samsung A71G or 5G. It has One UI 5.1. Now, if you can use a slow charger, I got to witness my dad's old phone catch on fire. It was the same model of phone I have. Yeah, like certain batteries need to have a fast charger so that way it charges the battery at a certain speed, so that way the battery is designed that way, right? So like as like this phone here, my phone, it's okay to be a slow charge or fast charge, but due to the battery that's in it, not because of anything else. It's due to the type of battery that's in it. Um, yeah. And then like you got these people that do the wireless charging and stuff. Well, guess what? That wireless charging has a big copper coil on the back of the phone, right? So that big copper coil, it generally like a magnet spinning on the charging part. Generally, that's what it is, or coiled of magnetic. So that way it could be like a generator. So that way when you put the phone near it or on it, it can spin around the copper coil so that way it can generate a charge. Well, that's going to heat up. Well, guess what's right behind that? The battery. Guess what batteries don't like? They don't be like charging while hot. That's why with my power tools, with the fast chargers or the certain kind of chargers with the batteries, it has has multiple fans in the charger to keep the charger cool, so that way the charger doesn't heat up and then heat up the battery more than what the battery wants. Like there's so many things that go into things that we take for granted for that we just buy, right? And then like you got different lipo cells. Like different cells nowadays are upgrading almost every month. We're getting a new kind of like a new cell of battery for certain things. So like if we don't know anything about it, or it hasn't been tested long enough and the manufacturer starts implementing it and doing these chargers and fast chargers or slow chargers for it, but they don't know how many amps and how fast it should be charged, and someone just buys a charger that charges at 3 amps and is a fast charge. Well, guess what? You could blow up your phone that way. And that's not the manufacturer, that's literally the person that's buying these chargers, the consumer, because the consumer is not going onto the actual manufacturer's page of the product they're buying to see if it actually works. They just go, oh, plug it in, it must work. That does not work that way. It just does not. It's why overclocking my stuff in that, you got to go into the manufacturer of the motherboard, the manufacturer of the CPU, manufacturer of the RAM, the manufacturer of the GPU before you start overclocking your system. And then you start knowing about the voltages of each core and all that, and then you can go into certain software programs that will allow you to see what cores are the best ones. And then you can start voltage tuning and core tuning, like the frequency, so that way the core can be a higher frequency but at a lower voltage than normal, which is great because then the CPU doesn't get as hot and it doesn't degrade anything, right? Same thing with like the Intel. I have many videos about it. Everyone complains about Intel and that, but everyone that bought an Intel 13900K or 14900K CPU and then it had it degraded most likely had XMP enabled on their RAM. So that was a certain voltage rail from the CPU to the RAM that goes to that. And if, let's say, the XMP uses 1.45 or 1.5 volts on that rail, and that CPU, if you go onto Intel's website, 2 RAM sticks on the channel, right? So 2 RAM sticks, you're only allowed to go up to 5600 megatransfers. That was the tolerance, and up to like 1.4 volts. But then these XMPs went way crazy, and then they're taking these timings from other people and voltages from other people because, oh, they read up on the forum and that. They didn't read the Intel specs, they didn't read anything about the actual CPU and motherboard and how it can cause an issue. And then they're just blaming Intel for it. And I don't care about getting the hate for it. It's everyone keeps blaming Intel onto it. Guess what? It was the consumer. It was whoever bought that didn't know what they're talking about, didn't know what they're doing, and they just started doing it. If you're buying a 13900K or 14900K, 12900K, any top of the line enthusiast grade CPU, you should know what you're doing before you start doing anything. And they'll say, "Oh, I didn't touch anything." No, the people that actually didn't touch anything had no problems. The motherboards that were actually designed correctly, some Asus motherboards, actually Asus motherboards were not designed correctly, so it did some issues as well. But if you didn't know what you're doing and you start touching stuff, it's just going to mess things up. If you did stock or if you did your own voltage tuning, like most enthusiasts would do their own voltage tuning like I did. And if you ever watch Frame Chasers, so Frame Chasers on YouTube, he does all these tunings for RAM and for CPUs for these Intels and that. And none of his clients have had an issue of degrading CPUs and have been running them like overclocked, balls to the walls, overclocked, never had an issue with theirs. But then all these other people on stock are having these issues. Well, guess what? It's going to a different voltage set onto Intel's, like more amperage is allowed and more tolerances, and it's doing some weird things. That's due to the XMP, that's due to the motherboard, and that's due to the people not knowing about the CPU. So give me the hate. I don't care. It's you don't know what you're talking about, people. So if you don't know what you're talking about, stop buying stuff that you don't know anything about and go with the lower grade stuff. So that way you don't make a fool of Intel, because it wasn't really Intel's fault. It was motherboard, Intel, and RAM manufacturers. And again, sorry for blabbling. I just had to talk about that because a lot of people like to blame Intel for their own mistakes. And I don't mind that Intel lost what 2% of their market so far from it. Intel still owns like 78% of the CPU market. Will always own majority of the market because they are the better of the choice. AMD is has too many issues. Yeah, sure, they have a nice Infinity fabric, but they have AM dip. So for gamers, that's no good, of course, especially if you have a high refresh rate monitor. Then AMD is just not the way to go. AMD is good if you want cheap, and AMD is good if you want to have an easier time overclocking the RAM. That's about it. Yeah, because lipo lithium batteries. So if you know anything about like lithium lipo batteries, you can't get water on for one, and then if you start heating them up, it starts separating the actual like the way they gotta pack it into the actual packaging, and you heat it up too much. There's again wires too in that, so the wires can actually like um, if you ever know about amperage going through high voltage and amperage going through wires, could be house wires and stuff like that. Those house wires and that can heat up, especially if you're doing it for long periods of time. That's why there's an 80% rule for electricity, if you know anything about electricity as well. Again, stuff you should know if you're doing overclocking and stuff like that. You got to watch what you're doing for that. But it will heat up the wires, and what the wires will do is they'll stretch and compress and stretch and compress, and then they'll make like little pockets in the wire too, and that will make it so that way the battery either a drains faster because it's not getting all the lithium out of the battery, and or because like when you charge it again, it's not gonna go to full capacity, and it'll think it's at full capacity basically. So it always will lower the rate. It's not really the battery, the lithium inside. It's more or less the wires and that are the issues on that. And it's really small, like again, really small wires. Because the smaller the stuff that we're doing nowadays, the more problems we're gonna have, especially with heat. Because copper doesn't like a lot of heat, and um, metals just don't like heat, right? Because it you heat it up, and what happens when you heat up metal too much? It melts. It disintegrates basically, and can cause issues that way. Yeah, guess what, Heart? If you. Yeah, no, if you're gonna be doing certain things to the products that you're buying that are not in like the warranty specs, and you mess it up, you should not be blaming the actual manufacturer, basically, in my opinion. That's me though, right? Like, yeah, sure, some people want to get free stuff, or get another uh, thing, whatever they bought, because of their own mistake. Well, guess what? If you read the manual, if you read the actual warranty on things, then you would know more about the product you're buying or have bought in, right? You can set your phone to charge to only 85%. I've never heard of that. I've actually never heard of that. I didn't even know you could do that. To be honest, I know there's some phones or some like bricks, the bricks that you plug in the wall so you can plug and charge your phone or laptop or something. I know they'll have a fast charge to a certain point, then they'll switch to like a trickle charge, which would be a slower rate. I would assume that fast to trickle charge would be the better way to do it, because the battery itself wants to be charged at a certain rate, but if you charge from very low percentage of battery to full, then it's going to heat up, and that's going to cause issues, because again, there's wires and other things that are in it that don't like being heated up, right? And yeah, we feel the heat on the back of our hand, but we don't know how hot the inside of that battery is. If the battery is inside is very, very hot, there's going to be issues. So if it charges up to maybe like 60, 50 or 60% and then does a trickle charge, then it can keep the maximum temperature away from it, and should be the battery would last longer, or the wires just won't mess up, or lithium won't degrade away, basically. I don't know what a OnePlus charger is. It's in Samsung settings. See, I didn't even know that. I have a Samsung. I love my Samsung. I got my Samsung Galaxy monitor here, and I got a Samsung phone, but I didn't know anything about that. I didn't even know. I'll check that out though. The 85% charge. I know my battery's not too bad, but all right, man. You have yourself a good one. As always, don't forget to get her done. All right. The OnePlus charger. I don't know what the OnePlus charger is there, Heart. Is it like a certain type of charger? I don't know. I do not know. Oh. Is it like an HTC? I used to love my old HTC OnePlus. Oh, really? Looks like they have a nice camera on them. The prices, holy, some of them are holy. Those prices are insane. On some of them, they're insane. Like $1,800. You can save $200 with trade in any phone though. $1,800 for a phone. I would never buy that, by the way, for a phone. I think the next phone I'm gonna buy is maybe about $100. I think that's what I'll spend on it, and I'll be happy with it. I'll be happy, okay? If anyone's new to the stream, you can just subscribe, comment in the comment section, and you could win an Intel Xeon CPU after my 10th stream of the giveaway. It has to be the giveaway stream, so there'll be 10 giveaway stream. After the 10th one, there will be an Intel Xeon giveaway, free. Free in anywhere in Canada. If you're outside of Canada, there will be a $15 helpful shipping charge, because the shipping will be more than $15 just to help out with shipping though. But in Canada, it'll be 100% free. And if you don't want if I pull your name out and you are a subscriber and all that, and if I do pull your name out, you can just pay it forward type thing, and you can just let me know, and I'll pull another name out for someone that maybe does want the Xeon CPU. It's a great CPU to start overclocking, especially if you want to get into it. I got a fast 33-watt charger. Holy. It works with my older phones that I have turbocharge. That's nice. I know my phone has a fast charge, but that's about it. I know about fixing up phones, more or less Androids, iPhones. It's the older, not older, but like, the iPhone 6s. those ones I can fix up, and anything older for iPhone I can fix up. Any of the newer ones, you have to have like certain equipment to be able to do it. So I just don't want to spend the money because I don't make money doing it. It's only generally helping out friends or family, fixing up their phones, replacing batteries, replacing screens, and other things like that. But Androids, I like Androids because I can fix any of them, basically. All right, let's see. So I'm going to take a look at my last one here. What was it? This one. Shoot. Oh, I've been streaming for over 3 hours now. Holy. Thank you all for watching. This is it's been a pretty good turnout for this live stream, to be honest. Maybe I'll live stream tomorrow and see what happens. It might not be the giveaway live stream tomorrow, but I might have a small live stream tomorrow. We'll see. If anyone has any PC questions, let me know. I don't mind answering them. I do know a thing or two about a thing or two. Got 5 subscribers today. Thank you all for subscribing. Whoever subscribed, thank you. Need to get more watch time hours. That's what I need to get. My phone's going nuts again. Hello, people. Hello. Heart, you always try to tune in. Thanks for always trying to watch my streams. I generally do a lot more videos and streamings, but I don't have the time to do the videos because it's the setup, it's the editing more or less, just to make sure it's not like a really boring video. Then it's the uploading. The uploading takes forever because I do it 4K now, so yeah. Like forever, like 2 hours for like a 30-minute video. It takes 2 hours to upload at 4K. It's insane. I might be calling it a stream. It's getting late. I need to rest. My back is really, really sore. I know I don't show it, but it's bad. Last night I did not get any sleep really. I was up every like 20 minutes, and then trying to get back to sleep was terrible. Then move a certain way, it's just like blah. Somebody shoot me. There's no good chiropractors around my area. All of them are not good. So I'm hoping overnight my back relaxes and loosens up a bit. The name of some of the subscribers. Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for subscribing, everyone. Oh. I think this might be maybe 8 more minutes. I'll stream for 8 more minutes to make it 3.5 hours of streaming. I'm losing frames again. There we go. But yeah, I'll stream for 8 more minutes just to make it 3.5 hours. It'll be one of the longest streams I've done in a while, even though I used to stream for like 12 hours, 8 hours minimum usually. Should. I've already gone through all the hardware bought. Maybe tomorrow, if I am feeling a little better, my back's feeling a little better, I'll get out some PC stuff and maybe build a PC to show people how to build a PC. I will do that. If anyone's new to this stream, just subscribe and comment in the comment section, and you could win an Intel Xeon CPU. That'll be after the 10th giveaway live stream that I do. So after 10 live stream giveaway streams that I do, I'll be drawing a name from a hat of a subscriber that has commented in one of those live streams. It has to be one of the giveaway live streams, though. There'll be other live streams besides the giveaway, though. Just saying, just saying. And thank you all to everyone that has subscribed and watched these live streams. It's very nice to have this turnout. It's been quite nice. And if you have any PC questions, let me know. I do know a thing or two about a thing or two. Yeah, I've been looking at a Titan XP too, the 6 GB, the old one. Yeah, I've been looking at one too. The person's selling it for $60, and it's actually $60 for one's a really good buy. I've been looking at a lot of things. It's just I don't technically have the money for it, so it depends on what I want to do for the competition as well. I do know I need to get a AMD graphics card, so I might just get a RX 580 because I've worked with the 4 GB and the 8 GB models, the RX 580, so I could participate in the competition that way. We'll have to see though. We'll have to see. We will see. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It really is a good buy. For $60, in my opinion, the Titans were a really sought after GPU, and the more time goes by, the more breaking, and I'm just really good at making sure I don't break my hardware, or if I do soldering and stuff like that on them, or I'll modify them, or make sure that they last a long time. That's why I like to learn things, because again, it could be helpful for the future. It could be helpful to save money. Oh yeah, the Sapphire cards were great. That's what I had, the 4 GB model Sapphire and the 8 GB model Sapphire. Then I also had the MSI Armor RX 580 8 GB. That was actually a really good card, the MSI Armor. It's just the fans were really quiet. Like that's why I liked it. The Sapphire, the fans were a bit louder, but yeah, it also performed a lot better. Like you can overclock it way more. Plus, I also did a BIOS, like changed the BIOS over so that way I can overclock it. I think it was over 2 GHz on that card, or the BIOS you can set it so that way it can hit go over 2.3 GHz if you did a liquid nitrogen. Uh, but if you set it to that BIOS where it could technically go up to 2.3 GHz, it would allow you to overclock it and be more stable. And that's the only reason why I did it. I don't think I would even get close to 2.3 GHz on it, but it performed very, very well. And then when I sold it, because it has the multiple BIOS, I believe, on it, I told the person on the one BIOS, if you want to have more performance than that, just switch it over to that. It had a certain BIOS for it, and the person was an enthusiast, so he already knew all about it, so he bought it. XFX had a nice one with changeable fans that popped. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The quick change fans on those FXX, FXXFX. Yeah, yeah, I heard about those and read a bit about those ones as well. Those are pretty cool. No, you shouldn't have gotten rid of it. I shouldn't have gotten rid of my RX 580s, the 4 GB and the 8 GB. Um, I only got them because I was gaming at the time, and then I got more into overclocking, and then I was like, I'll get myself a, because I had it for a while. So then I got a 1080, a gigabyte GTX 1080 is the next card I got, and then like not even a few months down the line, I got RX 6700 XT, the 12 GB card. Really, really nice card, by the way. It was really nice. Very expensive though. Never even thought I would pay that kind of money on the graphics card, but I've paid more for the card I have now, the 3070 Ti. I paid more, so. But then I got more and more into it and started learning more and more and more and started doing more overclocking and then got into RAM overclocking, CPU, more CPU overclocking on older stuff and just kept up on it. And here I am today doing YouTube videos on it and doing competitions for hardwarebot.org and spending most of my time or free time that I have learning more about it. So guess it was a good thing that I got rid of them because if not, maybe I wouldn't have been here today. Yeah, so literally in about 10 seconds here, I'm gonna be done this stream, everyone. Thank you all for watching, by the way. This has been a pretty good stream, especially for a shorter stream, in my opinion, 3.5 hours. It's been a pretty good turnout. Thank you all for everyone that's joins on my streams. Hart, Ricky, again, thank you all for joining. We'll see if I'm on tomorrow. I'll try to do a small live stream tomorrow. If not, maybe a longer stream as well. We'll see. All right, and as always,